Call to order of the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting today, Tuesday, April 20th, 2021 at 5:32 p.m. May I please have a roll call?
Yes. Mayor Grant,
Present.
Vice Mayor Panserga,
Here.
Commissioner Katz,
Here.
Commissioner Hay.
Here.
Commissioner Romulus.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
All right, thank you. John, would you please provide us with an introduction?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Grant. Hello and welcome. My name is John McNally, and I will assist the mayor and the elected officials with the GoToWebinar portion of today's meeting. Before we start, I'd like to review a few housekeeping items so those virtual audience members know how to participate. Your microphones have been muted to reduce background noise. There will be specific times during this meeting when audience members can participate. The first way is by typing your question into the questions section at the bottom of the GoToWebinar interface. Those items will be read into the record by a meeting organizer at the appropriate time. The second way is by clicking on the raise hand icon, indicating that you wish to speak. A meeting organizer will announce the next speaker at the appropriate time and unmute their audio, at which time you should state your name and address for the record. Please minimize any sources of background noise and speak clearly into your microphone during your allotted time. I will now turn control over to Mayor Stephen Grant, who will be presiding over today's meeting.
Thank you, John. So I'll ask everyone to please rise for an invocation by Pastor Roberts of Cavalry Chapel, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Hay.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity, and let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for our day today. And as we partake in a very important matter, God, we just invite your wisdom and decision making. I pray for our mayor, our vice mayor, every elected official, every first responder, every representative of our great city of Boynton Beach, and that, God, you would help us make decisions and be unified for what's best for our city and also for those that reside in it. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Everybody put their right hand over their hearts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda approval. I've been requested from the applicant on item 12D as a delete to move up to in front of administrative. Is that okay with the commission?
Can we move it up? Can we move it up in front of a public audience?
All right.
Thank you.
In addition, I spoke with Paco Velez of Feeding South Florida of a matter of concern, and I wanted to know if the commission wanted to move that to a new business item. It's in regard to the emergency federal food applications run by the Florida Department of Agricultural and Consumer Affairs. And also, I'd like to put that up as a new business item.
Yes, Mayor, I'd agree to that.
And then also, is it okay if we move it up right after 12D?
That's fine with
Yes.
me.
So
No problem.
that will be 11B. Okay. And is it, yes.
I'd like to add an item for new business. I'd like
Okay.
to engage in a conversation about the possible creation of a pride crosswalk here at the center of our town square.
Chair,
Yes.
and to the vice mayor, is this something to be put on future agenda items? And this is kind of a sticking point I have about walking stuff onto the agenda, so I don't want to look unfair by picking and
No,
choosing things.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Katz. I believe he said for future agenda. Is that correct?
I did say for new business today.
Oh,
However, if my colleagues feel compelled to have it delayed, that's fine. I'm only seeking for general consensus from my peers.
Okay, so,
However, if it disturbs you significantly, Commissioner, we can't put it under.
Only speaking to the procedure, because I've harped on this for years. Anytime someone tried to walk anything on, it's not a reflection of the topic. And I'd be happy to talk about it. I don't want to look like I'm being unfair when I call other people out for it. But if I didn't call you out for it, Vice Mayor.
Okay.
so,
I understand and appreciate your point of view. So yes, let's make sure it's on a future agenda.
all right.
Are
Seeing
we
no
adding
further-
it? Are we adding it on for future?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I think we can do that for the first meeting in May,
Yes.
to discuss the Pride Crosswalk for new business, where you'd like to put it and what that entails.
Absolutely.
All right. Seeing no further additions, deletions, or corrections, may I have a motion to approve as amended?
Motion to approve as amended.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye. All those
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to informational items by members of the City Commission. Commissioner Katz, would you like to begin? All right, Commissioner Hay?
Yes, did Commissioner Kemp say anything or is it?
It was muted. I apologize. I have a
Oh, okay,
button on
okay.
my microphone, and then I have the button on the panel. So I apologize. I thought I talked. Nobody heard me, but I talked.
Okay.
So very briefly, I spoke to Michael Weiner on the Riverwalk item on the agenda. I also spoke to interested parties in 115, although I do forget the initials. It was Mr. Leon. I forget the initials of the company he represented, but that description will suffice for my disclosure at this time, and that is all.
Commissioner Hay?
Yes, I also talked with Attorney Michael Weiner, and also I talked with Mr. Shaw Reichman of the on the Riverwalk project, and that completes my disclosures.
Commissioner Romulus?
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. I spoke to Michael Weiner as well. I also spoke to, I will be speaking to the individuals regarding the 115 property, and also had a conversation as well with can't think of their name, but I believe Ashley was her name, regarding the village and the 115 properties. These are, and I also spoke with Phoenix, South Florida, regarding the item that we put on the agenda tonight. Those are my disclosures. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I spoke to Michael Weiner as well regarding 12D, that's the Riverwalk item. And I also spoke with Sarah Vatsky of Feeding South Florida.
As for myself, on April 8th, I attended an informational session for the Sexual Exploitation Abuse Child Protection Agency. I gave that information to the city manager. I believe that there should be funding from the American Rescue Plan to help educate our staff on signs and how to speak with children who may be under those sort of conditions. I spoke with Michael Weiner, and I attended the Quantum Park Overlay Development District. I'm pleased that we are reducing the the assessment for that, but still will have enough money to pay for the Eco Park. On April 13, I wish everyone Ramadan Mubarak, and I attended the ICLE World Conference. That was in Malmö, Sweden. The ICLE is basically sustainability for cities. And one of the things that they were talking about is the circular economy. How do we reduce, reuse, and recycle and create new products for our own residents? And so that's something that we should think of. On the April 15th, I attended the Transportation Planning Agency, and I spoke with the cities to our north and south, Lake Worth Beach and Delray Beach, about possibly doing a bike sharing program. And I guess I would request probably at the future agenda to see if we can get consensus for our staff, our city staff, to speak with our neighbors to try to create an RFP for all of our neighborhoods so that we can have a bike sharing program that where people can pick up in Boynton and drop off in Delray rather than just be stuck within the city. In addition, as part of the TPA, I gave a letter of support to the transit unions. The state of Florida legislature is looking to create more conditions for unions to exist. And I didn't know if this board wanted to also, or commission wanted to also have a letter of support in opposition of the current legislation, making it harder for unions to exist besides police and fire. April 16th, I attended the Boca Chambers First Responders Luncheon and congratulate the police and firefighters that were awarded. On April 17th, I attended Earth Day, and I want to give a kudos to all the great work that Rebecca Harvey did with the Sustainability Task Force. I spoke to everyone there, and they thought it was a huge success. A couple of the shout outs goes to the city's public works, our parks and recs, Healthier Boynton Beaches, Circles, Surfrider Foundation, Community Greening, Walk to Go. It was a wonderful drive-through event, and I'm looking forward to next year where we can have not just a drive-through event to pick up the trees, but people to stay around, have fun, and eat some of our Go Green restaurants. Yesterday, I spoke with Paco Velez of Feeding South Florida, and that is it for my disclosures.
Mayor,
Yes.
I also spoke to a representative from Feeding South Florida. Thank you.
Thank you. And if there's no more informational items, we will move on to presentation on Town Square from E2L Real Estate.
Mayor, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. I can see the text that you're saying you can hear me vaguely, but am I being heard? Yes, okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. I just, since this is also part of our informational items, in addition to disclosures, I just wanted to take a moment to speak on something that recently occurred, and this is something that I wanted to just take a moment of privilege to, so if you'll allow me, I would appreciate it. Thank you. As some of you may know, the verdict on the individual who murdered George Floyd was released today, and the verdict was guilty on all 3 counts. And as the mother of 2 blacks, this was significant, not only for me, but I'm sure for many other Black mothers and Black men in our country and in the world at large. As I have a fond feeling for our law enforcement and for our individuals who protect and serve us. But those who take their power too far and those who feel that it is okay to break the law in the name of the badge that they wear, let this be a message that it is not, and justice will be served. Though in the past it has been delayed, in the past it has been served in ways that we thought perhaps it should have been served differently. This is a move in the right direction. So I did want to just take a moment to just comment on this because this is important. As we look at the incidents that occurred last summer and all of just every single thing that has happened since then, It's been an avalanche of different changes of awareness, and I for one hope that it continues and that justice continues to be served, and that individuals who take the oath to protect and serve will continue to operate in that manner and protect every single person that they're sworn to protect, regardless of the color of their skin, regardless of what neighborhood they may be walking through, regardless of what hairstyle they may wear, regardless of whether they are wearing a hoodie or not, regardless of if they have tattoos or not, regardless if they speak with an accent or not. This is a country of free people, and it is a country of diversity. We are all different. We are all from different walks of life. We're all just different. And it is our differences that make us stronger. It is the fact that we are not the same that makes us stronger as a nation. And we need to remember that. And the hate that we've been seeing spewed, the animosity that, the hate that we've been seeing spewed, the animosity that we've been seeing taken out, not only on the Black community, but on the Asian community, the Jewish community, and every other minority community out there that for some reason or another, individuals feel there is something to hate about them. Let's just remember that it is our differences that make us who we are as a nation, as America. And that's why we are one of the best countries in the world, in my opinion. I still believe that, no matter how many things and atrocities happen in this great nation. So with that being said, I do thank my colleagues for just taking the time to listen. And again, as a mother of 2 young Black men, I saw my sons in George Floyd. I saw my sons in Ahmaud Arbery. I saw my sons in so many of these young men who have lost their lives at the hands of law enforcement. And we just want to see it stop. We want to see it end. We want to see justice brought for these lives lost. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner
I'd
Hay.
just like to echo everything that Commissioner Romulus just stated. I won't repeat it. I just support her 110%. I would just like to say that having gone through the Martin Luther King Jr. Time frame of the 1960s, I was one who was among the marchers. And I just feel so good at this point that more people are beginning to see wrong for wrong. And I think that's making the difference in our country now, that everybody has taken the blinders off. And it is a time of healing because everybody can see that there's injustice all over the place. As Commissioner Romulus just said, not just to Blacks, but to other races and nationalities. So we are blessed to live in a city of Boynton Beach, where we haven't had that level of bias, but we have had our share in terms of just dealing with individuals who are learning. And I just love the opportunity that I have being who I am and what I represent, from the church to the commission to right on down the line, to have the opportunity to talk with some of my officers that I know on a first name basis. I think that has helped us. And I think if we would each carry our part, if we would do what we can do, what can you do? When is the last time that you talked with someone of a different race, of a different skin color, of a different background? That's where it's going to make the difference, when we begin to learn each other by name and see me as a person rather than another Black man. So I just that we I know that we're definitely on the right track. I just want us to continue to learn each other and to carry each other's burden. And I think in the end, we will all benefit from that healing process. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else from the commission would like to say something? My quick comments is I want to thank you, Commissioner Romulus, for letting me know. I wasn't aware, and we cannot change the past, but we can make the future better. I'm looking forward to what we're doing here in the city of Boynton Beach with our diversity and equity study to hopefully make changes on all levels of both the city staff and within our residents and businesses, so that we can educate the public of what is right and tell them, if they make a mistake, what it needs to be done to correct it. With that being said, we will go on to our first announcement, which is the presentation on Town Square from E2L Real Estate Solutions. Kelly or Mark?
Yes, good evening. Are you able to hear us?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. First of all, we'd just like to say a special thanks to Mayor Grant and the commission. I see Lori and many of the staff members who were able to make this possible. And it's been a long but very positive experience for us. And this will be hopefully our last presentation on the public component of the town square, and we look forward to hopefully doing the same on the private sector as we look to the future. But if we could, I think, John, you have a PowerPoint that we had sent to put up.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. We took the opportunity here to just capture some of the highlights on the next slide, John. And then we're going to let the pictures speak to a lot of the events that took place. But again, we started this in, hard to believe, August 14th, 2018. To the commission's credit, this project was approved that day, and we set about the mission of delivering the new public facilities. But of course, before we did that, we had to raise several buildings in Town Square. And we have some pictures of before and after, but the capitalized interest on the bonds, we were able to earn over $1.5 million for the city on the funding over the life of the project. We also did the direct procurement to achieve the tax savings through the state of Florida. We had quite a bit of buyout savings in a very busy market, which continues to be very busy. We've worked on the naming rights donation. I believe there's a presentation directly behind this one to talk more detail. And then even at the challenges of COVID and everything else, we were able to return additional funds to the city, which is still being closed out at this time. But the total was over $2.5 million of savings that we were able to bring to the project. Of course, this helped greatly, even though the project initially approved the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. There was no funding in the project for that, and we were able to accomplish that through these savings. So all the furniture that you're sitting in tonight at the chambers, and again, we apologize we're not there in person. It would be a great experience, and we've been in there many times. We just weren't able to get there this evening. But in addition to that, we're able to achieve about $4.7 million worth of additional work. And I give the CRA a lot of credit. I don't know if Michael and Twee and others are on the phone, but the commission that oversees the CRA for funding the amphitheater and playground upgrades, which became to us a real center point of the project. So John, on the next slide, we're showing the city some just 3 years ago, going on 4 now. I don't know the exact date, but I think most of you recognize the buildings, and I'll never forget meeting Lori and some of the staff the first time, where the buckets were sitting on the steps collecting the rain through the city hall roof. And I came back and told Kelly, I said, I think they need us and we need them. So the next slide, we introduced the Demolition Crew. I don't know if all of you remember this, but we had a little competition of who can knock down the brick on the front of the old staff or the city commission building. And I forget which team won, but hats off and kudos. We didn't have any accidents that day. Some of you may remember running some very sophisticated equipment and actually tore down some of these buildings. But the next slide shows the project today. This is Town Square just a few months back, and we've got all the main landscaping and hardscaping in. And as you can see, the car activity is quite active on Ocean Boulevard. Looking at it from the other direction, next slide, John, really sets it apart. And of course, I think we'll look back at a decade from now and see a city that hardly any of us could imagine. Of course, we came into the city, and our first challenge was figuring out on the next slide what to do with the old high school. And I learned very quickly that it was needing and wanting to be saved. I personally had a difficult time because when we saw the building, there was trees growing out of the top of the building, not in front of it. And we took on a big challenge here. And this turned out to be truly a unique setting and a magnificent centerpiece for Town Square. As you can see, the Kinetic Fair was there just before this picture, and the horse that still resides in the front of the building. It's an absolutely beautiful sight. For those that probably don't know this, Suzanne Ross, I see, is on here. And if you go to the next slide, John, it all started with the museum next door and meeting Suzanne and recognizing what was happening at her place. And to her credit, she lived with us for 3 years, and we tried to make life as safe and pleasant as we could. She had a lot of visitors coming and going. So thank you, Suzanne, for being there with us. The next slide shows the interior of the Art and Culture Center. We know there's been a lot of interest and activity to take place in there, and yet the coronavirus has happened to keep that from taking place yet, but we know it's soon to happen, and we're looking forward to being part of that. Of course, the next slide shows that it really all started with the Children's Museum and the butterflies here. I think we got an old set here, so there's a new slide on this, John, if we can go to the next slide. The City Hall night views, unbelievable. To the city's credit, again, they took the time to really think about how to create this space in a night setting with the lighting. As you know, these lights change different colors at the touch of an app. And next slide, John. Of course, the artwork, this was a process that we spent, many hours being part of the selection committee. I think the city did a fantastic job of selecting some very unique art that'll be there for many generations to come, and it blends in so well with the buildings themselves. We put a few more night slides in here, John, if you'd go to 13. And some of these with the artwork, as you know, the synthesis art actually plays music, and I don't know who controls the outcome of that, but every time we're there, it's a great reminder of the effort that went into the project. Of course, inside the City Hall, on the next slide, we were presented with the key to the City Hall at this dedication. We're very honored to be presented that and getting the finishes done to the communication stairways. As you know, on the next slide, we're working with Avison and Young, not to be announced yet, but there's a cafe coming to City Hall as well as the incubator space that should be awarded next month. We'll be bringing that to commission. Next slide. The first and second floor libraries. I remember working with Craig, and some of the ideas for signage. He never mentioned the player piano, found that out afterwards, but what a great addition to City Hall in the library. Next slide, John. And of course, the interior turned out wonderful. I remember many of the times we would select interior finishes. I credit Lori and several who have an eye for color to really pick out some unique colors and fabrics and things that really make the space unique. Next slide. We were very fortunate 2 weeks ago. We attended City Hall and walked in on a concert, and what a wonderful sight to see the people on the communication stairs and the children, and just the sound inside the building was absolutely wonderful. We took this slide out. It got stuck in back in here, so I can't help but thanking Eleanor for all the public relations, and we caught her and Rosie enjoying a little time in City Hall when we were there. Next slide. Of course, the Chambers is now open for business, so it's exciting to see that there's so many people that are actively there tonight. Next slide. Christmas and the holiday season in general that was celebrated there. We were fortunate to be able to visit and get some pictures. And of course, from Lori's fourth floor view, we have the banyan trees that were saved. And some of you may remember, we actually moved a kapok tree that's not as visible in these pictures, but that came through. And next slide, John. Of course, this was taken from the fourth floor of City Hall, and couldn't have pictured this out even in the design process of how well the views would turn out of the old historical high school, and now the Art and Culture Center and the Children's Museum. And again, this is off the third floor patio. Next slide, John. And of course, we've been there to the amphitheater. We were there when they were sound testing it. Everything sounded great. Great to see there's people now actually using that. The Centennial Park with the artwork there, with the children, just an absolute beautiful place. So police station finished out. Plaque is hung. The next slide shows that we've brought in and integrated the artwork to the front of the building. And I think to Commissioner Romulus' presentation earlier, building that trust back in with the police force. Great dedication to the staff there. Of course, the fire and safety, we were there for the dedication of that building. Likewise with the district energy plan on 30. That's been up and running since June of last year. Next slide. Our favorite was the butterfly release on dedication day of October 16th with the children and many of the family members, and of course Mayor Grant and several commissioners there for that. Kelly and I have been working and will continue on the naming rights campaign, so pleasure to be part of that. As some of you may have seen, we've got all the building plaques now installed, thanks to Anderson Slocum, who's been very integral to all this project. I know the city's still looking for the proper time and place to put the time capsule in, and we have also brought in a centennial marker for that whenever it's placed in its final resting. And then just lastly, I think honoring Tim Howard, that was something that was very special to us. Tim, and without Tim, this project would have never happened. So we appreciate the city thinking and making that dedication in his honor. So we had another slide in here. I think we accidentally got the wrong packet, but this all happened because of partnering, and the city has been an excellent partner. I know there's many of the staff members on here, from planning to zoning to everything, inspections, and we couldn't have done it without you. So a special thank you for all the hard work that was put forth by those that spent the time with us and made this vision come true. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you again for all the great work that you did for the completion of this project. Very excited. I did have a quick question in regard to the bonds, because I know that interest rates have gone down a lot since August 2018. Is there any way for the city to save some money regarding the interest rate that we issued the bonds at?
We will certainly check on that, Mayor Grant. I know a lot of cities are now doing that. There are usually some time limits as to how soon those bonds could be reissued. But give me a day or two, and I will definitely check on that and get back to you.
All right.
Excellent question. And you're making a very valid point. Rates continue to be very favorable for this type of project.
Yeah, yep, thank you. And I'll ask the commission if there's any questions for Mark, and then It's very exciting, and as of last Tuesday, the CRA is starting to have different events coming in. We're looking to have a farmers market in July, a night market. We're looking to do a lot of different things with our new facilities, and we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mayor, I'd just like to say to Mark, job well done. It really makes me think twice. Am I in the city of Boynton? It really looks good, man. It really looks good. So thank you for all your hard work, and thank you for your staff and everything that you've done for the city of Boynton. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no further comments. We will move on to our next announcement, which is the update of the naming rights campaign from Charlotte Pelton and Associates.
Mayor Grant, I have unmuted the microphone of Charlotte Pelton while I bring up the presentation.
Great, thank you. So thank you, Mayor Grant and City Commission, for this opportunity to come before you today and to follow Mark and Kelly, who've been great to work with as well. We provided you this report of the progress to date since we came into the picture, which was when this project was at the beginning stages, but still well underway when the beautiful old high school still needed a lot of work. And so I feel like we've come a long way. Commissioner Hay mentions, I can't believe this is Boynton Beach. I used to say that before this project that Boynton on some levels maybe had a little bit of Delray Beach envy. I think that is absolutely not the case anymore. I think if anything, it's the opposite because of this project. The fact that all in one space with beautiful public buildings and beautiful public art and playgrounds, this is going to become that kind of model. So it is with that in mind that we give you this update report. I'm not going to go into detail of it. You have it, and certainly I'm happy to answer any questions, but just to remind everyone, our team, my colleagues, Mary Lewis and Michaela Kennedy, and I have been working closely with Lori and the city staff and a whole host of people who have volunteered to help out with this project, with the idea that we would try to raise money for those unfunded elements of the project, or where we could provide opportunity for donor recognition and throw off money that could then go into unfunded elements. So this report really reflects on that. What we've accomplished to date, our first year we really spent just trying to get our mind around it. You've all seen the beautiful materials, and later today, in a few minutes, we're going to show a beautiful compilation video, because just as we were really geared up, COVID hit, and that put us in a pause mode. We started back up late last summer, and again had the question of, is this going to be problematic trying to get people to tour? I will tell you this, people are beginning to come out again. We are doing tours safely distanced on the site. It's working really well. Suzanne Ross and the whole team have been great to work with, and she is very much an integral part of this as the executive director of the nonprofit umbrella that is where those monies flow. We have been, if you notice in our report on page 2, here's how we've gotten today. We haven't raised a lot of gifts, but so far we have been successful. There have been 13 gifts to date in the campaign with $413,600 raised. We think there's a lot of bandwidth in there still left. We are now focused on gifts from our campaign leadership committee. On page 4 of the report, you will notice that we have recruited 17 individuals to be a part of this campaign. They are our cheerleaders and include, of course, Mark and Kelly, who've been very generous in helping out as well. I spent time last week with Kelly going over the vendor list of all those vendors who made money off the project, and we have reached out to all of them and are having success in interest in gifts to the campaign, in addition to what Mark and Kelly have done. So we're well on our way as we begin to schedule more and more tours, and people are feeling like they're getting back to normal. The other part of this that I think is important is we talked to Harvey Oyer, and Harvey has been incredible in working with us on what is going to be such a unique element to this, and that is a history trail that weaves through Town Square, but beyond that is being planned to go beyond those borders to look at the overall history of the city of Boynton Beach, because there's some remarkable history there. So that's in the works right now, and we continue to work on that. That's really, in a nutshell, my report. You can see, I think that at this point, what's important, I'm going to pivot quickly to Suzanne, is that she has some comments to make. And then we're going to come back and we're going to land on a compilation video. Those of you who know, because some of you are in it, we have been filming the various elements of the Town Square project in order that for donors who are either don't live here or who are afraid to get out, we have an ability to share with them about the project. So there's one for the library, there's one for the new cultural center, there's one for the Children's Museum, et cetera. But we came up with and now have cobbled together one comprehensive video that we think has legs beyond this effort, although certainly it's our ability to educate on this effort, but it can be used in other purposes within the city. We have been showing that to chambers of commerce and other groups, and that has been great as an introduction to the project to then invite people to come and do a tour with us. So anyone that you know of that might be interested in coming and touring, send their name to us, send their name to Suzanne or to Lori or whomever, and we will make sure that that opportunity happens. So before John cues up this video, which is where we're going to land, I want to turn this over for a moment to Suzanne, who has been a great partner to work with as well, and she has a few comments to make.
Suzanne, this is John McNally. I've just unmuted your microphone. You seem to be self-muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge Mark and Kelly Heffron. And they've been extraordinary to work with on this campaign and throughout this entire project. So to Mark and Kelly, on behalf of the Boynton Beach Cultural Center's Board of Directors, city leadership, and the Boynton Beach residents, thank you for your generosity, your leadership, and your leadership giving to the capital campaign. You've been involved in some capacity, quite literally, with every square foot of Town Square. All of the facilities in Town Square will be touched by your generosity to the campaign. You've demonstrated a great commitment to Boynton Beach and the future of the city, and we truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we
I would
can.
echo that. They've been great to work with, and what I think you're going to see going forward is their name in a number of locations throughout the site, so it can be like a little bit of a scavenger hunt to see the various ways that their very generous gift is being recognized throughout the site. So I too join in thanking them. They've been great to work with. So with that, John, if we could land on our video, unless anybody has any questions, I'm happy to entertain questions, maybe prior to.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
For the individuals who donated the furniture, how are we recognizing them?
There are, thank you for that question. There are all kinds of opportunities at all kinds of levels for donor recognition. Some of it is tagged to, for example, if someone wants to sponsor a piece of art, those opportunities exist, and that signage, and I think of Mark and Kelly and the signage that they helped with. There will need to be a comprehensive package of recognition within the facilities for gifts above a certain size, and we have all that outlined. We haven't decided, we're not in charge of figuring out what kind of sign goes where, but there will be that. But for every single donor to this campaign, in addition, on the monitors throughout the site, there will be donor recognition. So if someone gives $25, their name will be on a screen showing that they generously gave. And as I said, then there are other namings. We're working on some larger gift opportunities right now, and some of that would be potentially naming buildings. So there will be that. We're just not quite there yet.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. I just wanted to know how we would, you know, I guess give recognition to the person who gave us our chairs or whatnot, you know?
Exactly. And yeah, we will do that because it is a very common practice to do that and to recognize people's generosity. This is the icing on the cake stuff that's helping make this already wonderful project even better.
Absolutely. And my last comment is to Mark and Kelly. When are you guys going to move down from Winter Garden to Boynton Beach? I mean, at this point, might as well.
We'll be down tomorrow night. Do you have a place to keep us?
There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate the update.
Thank you.
So unless there are any other further questions, if we could roll the video.
Hello and welcome to the new town square, Boynton Beach. The city of Boynton Beach is the third largest city in Palm Beach County, and this development project is the anchor to revitalizing our downtown district into a major arts and cultural destination for residents, businesses, and visitors to our area.
We have created a thriving government and cultural center to improve the economic well-being and quality of life for everyone who lives, works, and visits in Boynton Beach. This 20-acre site is a place for connecting the city's historic past to its vibrant future. There will be opportunities for learning at our new city library and great family entertainment at our new amphitheater.
We're creating a hub for small businesses thanks to new retail spaces, convenient parking, and the new Innovation Center. Boynton is a diverse and inclusive city that makes a place for everyone.
Town Square is transforming the Boynton Beach community with these thoughtfully designed new facilities, and the campaign is raising funds to add certain enhancements that will take the buildings and amenities from exceptional to incredible.
You have just entered one of the centerpieces of the Town Square development, the Cultural Arts Center, housed in the historic Boynton Beach High School, built in 1927. This 28,000 square foot venue has been renovated to accommodate classes, events, art openings, large functions, and much more. Upstairs is the jewel of the center, the event and performance hall, a magnificent
Yuri, this is John McNally. I'm sorry to pause the video. Are you guys experiencing an echo down there?
No.
Or Commissioner Grant? No?
I hear it.
I'll turn off my microphone.
There may be one coming through the GoToWebinar portion of this. I'm not sure if we can troubleshoot that while we're still running this live. I'm going to go ahead and queue it back up again and proceed from where we left off. And my apologies if it does not get better.
magnificent multi-purpose space featuring a towering 39-foot high dome ceiling and a permanent hearing loop technology very similar to that used at the Kravis Center. We are a fully accessible facility, and we strive to be inclusive in every way with all opportunities and programs that we provide.
There's something for everyone in the new town square. From historic arts and cultural facilities to playgrounds and history trail, the amphitheater, or the art installations throughout the campus, a new cultural hub is being created in Palm Beach County.
The Art in Public Places program has a 15-year history here in Boynton Beach and has already established a reputation for itself in South Florida and throughout the world. The Boynton Beach Art in Public Places program integrates the arts into the greater community to stimulate cultural interaction, education, and economic development.
Welcome to the Innovation Spaces City Hall. Entrepreneurship and creativity will be the driving forces behind the innovation space, with the goal of creating new businesses and growing existing businesses that will flourish in downtown Boynton.
The Town Center Amphitheater can really accommodate a range of acts and entertainment.
It was very important to our city leaders that the town square not only be accessible, but be welcoming and inclusive for everyone.
Welcome to a world built for children, where imagination comes to life. It all happens right here, in this school building opened in 1913, today's Schoolhouse Children's Museum. A step inside this beautiful historic building transports visitors to a simpler time and a welcome break from today's hustle and bustle world. Just imagine keeping shop as a shopkeeper, milking a cow, or sipping high tea at the Boynton Beach Hotel. How about steering a boat toward high seas adventures or clanging the train bell as a conductor bringing people to town? It all happens right here.
Welcome to the all-new Boynton Beach City Library located inside the City Hall building. We think of it as more than just a library. It's a modern, technologically advanced hub for our entire community to gather, relax, and learn. We use touchscreen technology to help visitors access our resources and check out materials. So go ahead, take a look around, and enjoy yourself.
The Youth Library provides education beyond the classroom. Babies to toddlers are introduced to basic literacy, group play, socialization, and books. Elementary and middle school students are introduced to science, technology, and math. High school students plan for their college education by preparing for national college testing. Our kids learn something new here every day.
Come walk through history with the Barefoot Mailman. In the center of Boynton Beach's town square, families and visitors will have the opportunity to travel back in time to experience the people and events that shaped the city of Boynton Beach in an interactive and engaging way. The tour begins inside the Schoolhouse Children's Museum. The entire trail is wheelchair accessible and is connected by large footprints reminiscent of the Barefoot Mailman.
Boynton Beach's vibrant African American history will be highlighted by telling the stories of Alonzo King and Samuel Cade, farmers who taught the early settlers best practices in agriculture.
The Charlie Pierce History Trail will make Boynton Beach a popular destination for family outings, school field trips, and a must-see stop for anyone interested in history, culture, and education.
Together we can realize our vision that embraces arts and culture, history, education, innovation, community, commerce, and tourism. I invite you to join us for an informative tour of the Boynton Beach Town Square.
Mayor, may I say a word?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to Mark and Kelly Heffron for the work that they've done on this project to see this literal dream of the city come true. You know, in discussing Town Square, I've been here 13 years, at least that long, if not probably 20. Of seeing this come to fruition. And deep from the heart, I want to say thank you for doing what you said you were going to do without a hitch. We worked really hard together as a team to save money and add so much value to the project that initially we didn't think we could do. I'm sure on behalf of our entire staff team, we truly appreciated that effort, and it really did add just tremendous value to the project. So thank you, and thank you to Suzanne. She lived through quite a bit while we were under construction, and I know it was extremely difficult for her and for her team trying to keep that museum open and viable, and they did well. And you didn't age too much, Suzanne. You're doing good. So we are so glad to see that, and you've just been tremendous tremendous in getting this naming rights campaign off the ground and working with Charlotte. It's really Suzanne that has been the leader of the city's team in getting it done. And, you know, we started with Tim at the beginning, and it was handed over to Suzanne and dropped the lap, and she took it and ran with it. And I would say, Charlotte, thank you to you too, because I think we do have a very successful campaign underway and still more to come. Thank you, Mayor, for the minute. I just wanted to have the opportunity to, again, say thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for producing that great video. And we're excited to see the naming campaign continue. And is there any other questions or comments from the board on this item? Seeing none, we'll move on to a presentation of the city's 2020 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report by Scott Porter, partner of Kaler, Donson, Levine, Cohen, Porter, and Veal.
Scott Porter, this is John McNally. Your audio has been unmuted. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Scott Porter with Kaler, Donson, Levine. I'm happy to be here this evening to present the audit report to you. I apologize if it's not nearly as exciting or interesting as the last video. I always seem to follow these wonderful presentations with a lot of numbers in a big book. So what can I say? But that being said, I would like to go through the comprehensive annual financial report just very quickly and touch on a few highlights, beginning with how it is organized, and then leave a few minutes at the end if there are any questions. So with that, if you have the printed book in front of you, you'll see that it's divided into 4 sections that are tabbed. The first one being the introductory section. This generally just provides an overview and background information on the city and your structure. That is followed by the financial section, beginning in section 2, page 1, is our opinion on the financial statements. The opinion is nearly 3 full pages long, but in summary, I want to point out that it is an unmodified opinion, which is the best level of audit opinion that you can obtain. There are no issues here. It is a little bit longer because the responsibility for portions of the statements are divided in that the city's 3 pension funds and the CRA are audited by other auditors. So they are referenced in this report to indicate that those numbers in the comprehensive report were audited by other auditors. And there is also reference to a significant amount of additional information that follows the notes to the financial statements. So then beginning in section 2, page 4, is management's discussion and analysis. This is a report prepared by the city finance staff that is intended to provide you with a high-level overview of the operating results for the year. There's a fair amount of detail here with some comparative financial information, as well as some graphics that I think do an excellent job of presenting the city's financial picture. So then moving on from there, the actual financial statements begin on page 14 of section 2. And these are the first 2 financial statements on page 14, and then a facing page position or presentation on page 15 and 16 are what are referred to as government-wide financial statements. These present all of the assets, all of the liabilities of the city, and then your net position, which is slightly different than your fund balance, which is unique to the fund financial statements that follow this presentation. So the idea here is generally to give you a presentation that would mirror what a private company would present on a full accrual basis with all your assets and all your liabilities. In looking at this statement, you can see the total assets in the far right total column were roughly $537.5 million at September 30th, 2020, with liabilities of roughly $340.4 million. leaving you a net position, or your equity, if you will, of roughly $209.1 million, which is actually a quite good result. Following that, on page 15 and 16 are the statement of activities. This statement is, again, presenting the revenue and expenses in a format that allows you to see on page 16 the extent to which individual governmental activities or business activities, being your enterprise funds, water, sewer, stormwater, are supported by user fees, or the extent to which they are financed by other revenues, primarily tax revenue, which is presented in the lower half of page 16. So what you see is in the governmental activities where you have general government, public safety, those obviously are financed by your tax revenues, which appear down below. So overall, if you look at the third line from the bottom, you can see that the net position increased by roughly $9.9 million in 2020. So again, a very good result for the year. Following that, beginning on page 17, are the governmental fund statements. These are the traditional governmental statements that I think most people are accustomed to looking at. The largest fund here being in the far left column, which is your general fund, and then the CRA, and then all the other funds are grouped together in one column, referred to as the other non-major governmental funds. So overall here, it's always good to look at the fund balance, which totaled roughly $53 million at the end of September 30th, 2020. That you can see on the next page, page 19, which presents the revenue and expenditures. And overall for the year, the total funds had a decrease of 3.9 million. So your fund balance as a result decreased from 56.8 million to 52.9 million, or roughly 53 million. Again, in light of the situation this year with the pandemic and its effect on economic activity and revenues, this is a pretty consistent result with many of the local governments across the state of Florida. On page 21 and 22 is the general fund budget to actual presentation. I won't go through this in detail, but it does give you the original budget, the final budget, the actual amounts, and then any variance, positive to negative. Overall, the net change in fund balance was roughly 29.6 million when compared to budget. So a very nominal shortfall, if you will. Okay, moving on through all the financial statements, beginning on page 32 are the notes. These are quite voluminous to comply with the multitude of governmental accounting disclosure requirements, so we won't go through those in great detail. The next section would be the statistical section. The next tab, beginning in section 3. This section generally presents a lot of historical trend information over a 10-year period for revenues, expenses, taxes, and debt of the city. So you can look 5 years ago and see what your tax revenue was or what your tax base was and compare it to today. Following that is the compliance section. This section presents the reports required by the federal government for a single audit of the grants received during 2020, as well as the reports that are required by the state of Florida Auditor General. Generally, these reports focus on internal control and compliance with the various rules, regulations, and grant requirements. I'm happy to report to you that there were no issues with internal control and no findings of non-compliance with any of the numerous rules and regulations that the city is subject to. And that concludes my presentation. If there are any questions, please let me know. I'll do my best.
Well, thank you, Scott. And no, I do not have any questions. But do we need a motion to approve the audit report? Okay. So if there's no further comments, we appreciate your time and effort and making sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing and being transparent.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Our next announcement is by the Development Department regarding the implementation of a new electronic permitting solution called Sages Gov that will go live to the public in May 2021.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Commission, Adam Temple, Development Department. The Development Department is excited to be here tonight to announce the upcoming implementation of our new user-friendly electronic permitting solution called Sages Gov, which will be rolled out here shortly in the month of May. But before we get there, just if I could take a few moments to see how we explain how we got here through statutory changes at the legislature requiring electronic plan reviews and permits to COVID-19. We have a very fragmented process currently, utilizing 6 different softwares and systems. That's incredibly cumbersome, as most of you all know. But that's going to change because approved by the City Commission in September, our core implementation team has been working extensively to bring this new e-permitting solution to life. Some of the value that Sages Gov will bring to our customers is much increased efficiency and a reduction of errors by automated workflows and having built-in checklists, concurrent plan reviews, so multiple disciplines can review plans at the same time and provide comments to customers. Customers can create and manage user profiles for a single project or dozens of projects, enhance management and communication between plan reviewers and customers, and customize reporting capabilities. We encourage our customers to monitor their city's webpage and building division page for important updates and announcements, including how-to videos that are currently being developed by staff. In addition, we are working with some select contractors to do a soft opening to begin using our process as part of our training, but they will be live permits and our customers will be helping us in our training. With that, we would like to thank the City Manager's Office for their personal attention to this project, certainly ITS, and the various members of our core implementation team that have continued to work nonstop issuing permits, conducting inspections, all while moving forward with this implementation. As someone who's been a part of implementations like this in the past, I'll tell you that doing this endeavor in a matter of 7 months is an extremely fast to get it done. So it's been a lot of hard work, and we're very excited to roll this out to the customers. Thank you.
One of the quick questions that I have, first, congratulations on being named Development Director. The second is that, you know, if people want to get into development that are in high school and college, what type of career paths should they look into getting into learning?
Well, there's various. I mean, just in the development department, you know, there's obviously planners go into the planning industry, construction professionals, so trade schools, on-the-job training, getting their licenses and certifications.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Questions? You plan on going live in next month in May with Sages Gov. Is there a learning curve for the public? Is it how user friendly is it, and what's the plan? We just trial and error, or how do we approach it?
It's extremely user friendly. Anybody that's gone through a permitting process to date will definitely see an immediate improvement. It's very easy to follow. And like I said, staff is developing how-to videos that will be on our website that will help guide customers from how to create a user profile, how to submit an application, how to check your plan review comments, All of those videos will be on the website in advance of our implementation, so customers can go ahead and start reviewing, and they will be accessible when the project goes live.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, seeing no further questions or comments, moving on to the announcement by Recreation Parks Director Casey Young. I regret to inform you that the planned free pet vaccine clinic with a partnership with Justin Bartlett Animal Hospital is canceled for Saturday, April 24th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The state of Florida's Department of Business and Professional Regulations needs to have a pop-up license to administer medicine or vaccines at the location, and it is okay for us to do human vaccines, but not animal vaccines. So we are working with them and should hopefully have a new date within a few months. And moving on to proclamations, our first one is Friday, April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day. Rebecca Harvey, our sustainability coordinator, will accept the proclamation. City of Boynton Beach proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed it to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, whether they are planted or a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the city of Boynton Beach adopted a citywide tree planting goal of 3,000 trees per year to achieve 20% canopy coverage by 2035, and is working to meet this goal through tree plantings, giveaways, and community engagement. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the 30th day of April 2021 as Arbor Day. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands.
Good evening, Rebecca Harvey, Sustainability Coordinator, and I'm here tonight with Miss Lori Wolf of the Boynton Beach Garden Club. The City of Boynton Beach has been observing Arbor Day as a designated Tree City USA for 37 years and running, and the Garden Club has been with us, I think, through that whole period and even longer. The Garden Club was founded in 1938 by a group of women in Boynton Beach, and today the club works to expand knowledge of gardening and beautify our community, and they sponsor several gardens, including the one that I walk through every morning, and many of us do, right at the Schoolhouse Museum in our beautiful town square, and also a community garden on Seacrest Boulevard. And as we noted, and as you all recall, the city is increasing our commitment to urban forestry recently with the completion of our first tree canopy assessment in 2020 and the goal to expand tree canopy to 20% by 2035, which is 3,000 trees per year, a goal. And we are well on the way to doing so. And in fact, at the very next meeting, we will hopefully be executing a contract to plant trees in parks and continue tree giveaways. And we did do a tree giveaway just this past weekend for Earth Day and Arbor Day. had a great time, gave away 200 fruit and native trees in the community. We're also marking our trees for Earth Month and Arbor Day with the Dressed to a T initiative. 12 trees, 10 of them along Ocean Ave and 2 at Hester Center are dressed in beautiful fabrics. So the community is invited to check them out, take a picture, post it on social media with the hashtag #GoGreenBoynton, and you will be entered in a prize drawing to our green restaurants. And you can find more information about Tree Canopy Program and all of our sustainability programs on gogreenboynton.com. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank the commission for not selling the 14 acres of forest that we have off of Old Boynton Road, spending the money that we have with the Eco Park. We need to make sure that we are keeping the forests or the old growth forests that we have as is, because once you cut them down, you can't really grow them back. Next, we have proclamation recognizing May 1st, 2021 as Global Love Day. Proclamation. Whereas the Love Foundation, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has announced Global Love Day to facilitate in establishing love and peace on our planet. And whereas Global Love Day will establish a worldwide focus towards unconditionally loving each other, others as we love ourselves. And whereas we are one humanity on this planet, and whereas all life is interconnected and interdependent, and whereas all share in the universal bond of love, and whereas love begins with the self-acceptance and forgiveness, and whereas with respect and compassion we embrace diversity, and whereas together we make a difference through love, and whereas the Love Foundation invites mankind to declare May 1st as 2021 as Global Love Day, a day of forgiveness and unconditional love. Global Love Day will act as a model for all of us to follow each and every day. Now therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the 1st of May 2021 as Global Love Day. Next, we proclaim the month of April as Autism Awareness and Inclusion Month, recognizing love-serving autism contributions to the City of Boynton Beach. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas love-serving autism's mission is to expand life skills, especially functional communication, through specialized therapeutic tennis instructions to increase community inclusion and independence of individuals with autism spectrum disorder and developmental challenges. Whereas tennis is a sport full of life lessons, it teaches individuals with ASD about valuable life skills. A few life skills gained through love-serving autism include integrity, sportsmanship, leadership, responsibility, perseverance, and confidence. Children and adults with autism who engage in the sport of tennis can experience lifelong therapeutic benefits, both on and off the tennis court. Whereas love-serving autism's goal is for participants to apply their newly learned skill throughout the community, including school, workplace, social recreation gatherings, and home settings. Now therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2021 as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor in the City of Boynton, for this wonderful Autism Month proclamation. We are super excited to reopen our tennis program on May 2nd at Barrier Free Park. And So we're currently inviting families, children with autism to attend, and also volunteers. And I have Jonathan Doring here, who's a wonderful tennis player, and he has one request actually.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, you see, because you know April is Autism Awareness Month, and thank you for passing and approving the proclamation. And my request is that, would you mind lining up the that Boynton Beach City water tower blue because of the awareness month?
Absolutely. I will definitely make sure that our city manager knows what to do, and she will do it. And not only will we do the water tower, but I believe we can do our high school and our city hall, all blue. And we'll make sure to send lots of pictures and let everyone in the community know that it is Autism Awareness Month.
Yeah, well, and secondly, of all those Special Olympic athletes besides me have autism, right? Well, you see, I'm not the only person in this whole city to have autism. You know, there's a lot of people, young and old, have autism, especially little youngsters at school, right? So another request, if I get chosen for the 2022 USA Special Olympic Games in Orlando, I hope you'll do the same, you know, light up the water tower red, white, and blue, and also the whole town, you know, City Hall, the old school playhouse, and everything, right?
Yes, we will be supporting
Everything
you.
in Town Square. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye.
Jonathan. And our last proclamation is to celebrate Diversity Month. Vice Mayor Pensurgo will accept the proclamation. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas launched in 2004, Celebrate Diversity Month is featured each April to recognize and honor the nation's diversity. And whereas the purpose is to help people from all walks of life gain a deeper understanding and appreciation of each other, from Allstate to Wells Fargo, from the U.S. Army to U.S. Postal Service, Celebrate Diversity Month is widely recognized and celebrated by leading workplaces nationwide. It is not yet a federally recognized theme month, and whereas Celebrate Diversity Month is a time gain, a greater appreciation of the diversity of cultures, backgrounds, and life experiences of those around you. No other nation in the world can boast such a diverse population. It is this diversity and the contributions of people of every race, culture, and religion that will sustain our nation's character and strength into the future. And whereas it is time to open dialogues that foster an appreciation of the differences that separate us as well as the similarities that unite us. We may look different, speak differently, and practice different customs, but we all have something valuable to contribute. Whereas Celebrate Diversity Month is about everyone, it unites each of these histories and heritages into one celebration of everything that makes each of us unique and different. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2021 as Celebrate Diversity Month. Would you like to say a few words? All right. And so I'd like to just say that I'm glad that we have Celebrating Diversity Month here in the City of Boynton Beach. It's the fact that we understand that we all have different, you know, most of us have different parents, different ancestors, but we all have the same commonality of being part of the same species. And that's where we can grow together, understanding that even though we are all different, we are all similar as well. Moving forward, we are bumping up item 12. Yes, Commissioner Ramos, would you like to say a few words?
I would. I do want to just take a moment to just reflect on that proclamation. And it was a request that I made. And I specifically requested it to be given to Commissioner or Vice Mayor Pincirga rather, understanding that he is the only Asian American elected official, not only in Boynton Beach, but in all of Palm Beach County. And I love that he is on this commission with us, as his voice and his point of views definitely adds a touch of diversity that we appreciate and that we all need. So being that I've been the lone female on the council, it's good to just have somebody else that represents the token other person. So it's good to have you here, Vice Mayor, and continue to want to work with you moving forward. So happy Celebrate Diversity Month, everyone. Thank you, every single person, for their contributions to our community, to our city, and our country and world as a whole. Thank you.
Commissioner, I want to thank you for your heartfelt words. I just want to tell you that that meant the world to me. And I didn't know the origin of this proclamation, but that made all the difference. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Seeing no further announcements, we're on proposed resolution 21-042, approve and authorize the city attorney to finalize covenant in lieu of unity of title documents. No, Tori, we moved this up. Don't worry, we didn't miss anything. For Isram Riverwalk LLC requests and for the city manager and mayor to sign. So may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve with question.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Hayes, second by Commissioner Romulus. Is there any discussion? Seeing none.
Wait a minute, I would like to have someone explain to me just why do we need the separation? I mean, if I know it's probably easier to get funding, but by the same token, it kind of makes me uneasy to think that maybe we're not going to get funding for the other half of it. So, I mean, why separate it? I mean, what's the big deal? I guess that's a question for Jim or someone.
We have the applicant's attorney here to explain that the part that's being separated is already completed. And so with that, the bank does not want to foreclose on the tenants that are currently there. And that is one of the main reasons why the property is being separated, so that the lender doesn't have to worry about the other tenants, because the property is not being collateralized by those tenants in that other property.
Is Bonnie Misko there, attorney?
Michael?
For the record, Michael Weiner, on behalf of Isram Riverwalk LLC. Commissioner Hay, the other side has a number of existing leases with respect to the property. It can easily be funded for whatever future development can be done there. The problem is that a bank who's lending money for construction wants its money loaned against what it is constructing. They do not want to be involved with leases or other property that they have to underwrite or look at or consider. So construction of towers such as this is not an easy market to go into. There aren't a lot of people or banks that are involved in that kind of construction lending. They consider it dangerous, obviously, because buildings have to be built and they have to be finished. So under those circumstances, we can give the city the same exact thing that it has. It's just that we can't call it a unity of title. Title means that the mortgage would have to spread out onto all things that are unified. Unity of control means the city has the same control. It is just not in the same title. So that's the only difference. The draft that we have actually goes into the fact that all of the development orders have to be followed. So I hope that explanation is sufficient Commissioner Hay.
Very good. You did very good compared to Shaw. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seeing no further comments, questions, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Hearing
Thank
none.
you for all of your,
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you for all your consideration.
Thank you and good luck. Next, we have the new item 11B, discussion of Feeding South Florida's request from the city of Boynton Beach regarding a letter of support for their petition with against the Department of Agricultural and Consumer Services.
Good evening, Mayor Grant and Vice Mayor Pinsurga and commissioners and city manager on the line. Thank you so much for allowing us this time. We wish it was under better circumstances. Before we get into that, we do want to share some exciting news. We have started our culinary training program that will officially begin on Monday with James Beard nominated Chef Lindsay Autry. So we will be training 10 culinary students in our 10-week curriculum, helping place them in the workforce. We have flyers for you all to distribute. And also to my right is our CEO, Paco Velez. So want to thank you guys again for allowing us this time. So unfortunately, the TFAP contract, which stands for the Emergency Food Assistance Program, as part of the USDA, one of their 15 federal nutrition programs, was up for bid for the first time in 10 years. And Feeding South Florida has been the contract holder in Palm Beach, Broward, and throughout the years on and off in Miami-Dade and Monroe counties. We have, for more than 10 plus years, we've been the contract holder. And each year we continue to increase our output of food. This past year in 2020, Feeding South Florida distributed 176 million pounds of food, making us the second largest food bank in the United States behind Houston. Of those 176 million pounds that we distributed, 50 million of those pounds came from the TFAP contract. Only about 4 million of them is what was allocated to us in a base allocation. And without getting too into the weeds, that obviously means the additional 46 million pounds were drawn down because of Feeding South Florida's expertise and experience with the contract. Unfortunately, throughout this bid process, the contract was taken from Feeding South Florida on what is a very blatant and obvious arbitrary and haphazard scoring system. We were marked down for things that were blatantly included in the contract or in the application. Preference was not given for the things that the application states it would be given for, and a whole host of other things. Also, the Department of Ag claims that this is not a protestable or reviewable decision, which is not a position that we agree with. We have submitted a formal protest to the Department of Agriculture. And so the main result of all of this is that this is a grave decision for South Florida families. Feeding South Florida has held about 17% of the TFAP contract for the state, and we drew down 37% of the state's commodities that went out into the community in the previous calendar year. The organization that won the bid has 13% of the state's contract and drew down 13.4%. So this is a capacity issue in a time when families need us most. We feel we have a moral imperative to fight this on behalf of the over 1 million families we serve. So we're here to just give you that update and let you know about the potential future and the increase in food insecurity in Palm Beach County and South Florida.
Thank you, Sari. I was able to look at your application last night, and I'm quite aware regarding the different scoring rubrics. And so on behalf of the city commission, I'd like to put a letter of support of how great of a job that you have done during the past year of COVID-19, how as soon as we started closing down, or even before that, in the month of March, we started having the food distributions when we realized it was too big for Ezel Hester. I remember the mass ones at the Boynton Beach Mall where you had, how many thousands of people come through, 5,000 vehicles coming through our mall to pick up food. This is something where the other applicant has a, location in Homestead, which is somewhat very far from Palm Beach County. And I feel that we want to make sure that the people who scored this did it objectively, and based upon the complaint and your application, there are discrepancies. So what I would like the commission to have a motion to work with Feeding South Florida to compile a letter of support requesting that the Department of Agriculture relooks at the scoring rubrics to allocate points to Feeding South Florida where it is deserved. And that is my request.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Second that with comment.
Yes.
I'd just like to say that I support Feeding South Florida 110%. Each Thursday morning, I've been going out to Isa Hester Center to help with the distribution, and they're well organized, and people are very happy to receive the goods, and it's a service that we need to do everything that we can to make sure that it stays afloat here in Boynton. So whatever we can do, Mayor, I'm all for it.
All right, thank you. And Jim and Lori, do you have enough direction?
Yes, Mayor, I do.
Yes.
All right. All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you again.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate the ongoing support, and just want to give a shout out to Casey and his team, the police department, and Lori, her office, and all of you who have been with us, to your point, since March 15th. The pandemic was declared on March 11th, and from March 15th, that Sunday on, we've been serving thanks to you guys. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. And one of the things that we have here in Boynton Beach is, on our agenda tonight is the polystyrene ordinance. So I don't know if that is something that you distribute your food in, but it's something that we would, request and be mindful of using recyclable or reusable packages when you're delivering food.
We've been in touch with Rebecca and her team and are absolutely in support of that and doing what we can to make sure everything coming out of our kitchen is in line with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have your flyers as well for the
Okay.
workforce training program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paco.
Chair.
All right.
Yes.
Mayor. Yes.
With the indulgence of the board, I guess since we did add that item to the agenda, could I request that we amend the agenda and immediately place the discussion item that Vice Mayor Pensurga put on there? Because now I feel bad because I missed that one getting on there and I called out his. So that would be my request. I make a motion to amend the agenda to add that discussion at this time.
I second that completely.
I'll second it too.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand, and it was more of that agenda item couldn't be really heard later the next month, but if the commission is okay, we'll put that as item 11C for the Pride Crosswalk. All in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner Katz.
Commission, thank you for that. And Commissioner Katz, thank you for the offer of the amendment. So my proposal here is fairly straightforward.
Oh, I was going to get it to new business.
Oh, new business? That's fine.
Yeah.
I can wait.
Okay. So now we'll have a public audience. So individual speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Daryl Sanders, 2001 Northwest 2nd Street, Boynton Beach, Florida. I want to start off by saying that I'm glad this is Diversity Month because I'm not really feeling the diversity as an African-American resident and taxpayer. I'm not feeling the diversity as an African-American nonprofit president. I'm not feeling the diversity as an event planner in Boynton Beach for a cultural holiday. We are bringing awareness to the city of Boynton Beach. It seems everyone else gets the green light here, whether it be Food for Families, Education Foundation. Maybe they're just more important to the commission. Even Commissioner Tile get his walk before we get support as nonprofits here in Boynton. The city of Boynton Beach runs off its residents and businesses, yet they are the last to be thought of. When the mayor wanted to bring the 15 million to the attention of the community, Katz chimed in and disagreed and felt like it should go more to the city and its employees before the businesses and residents of this community get a say-so in what happens with all this money. The city of Boynton also has excess money from events that weren't funded from last year due to COVID, such as like the holiday parade and other events. Chevy DTV Foundation Inc. requested $5,000 from the city of Boynton, which last year Ms. Lori agreed on record to giving us for Juneteenth festival. Well, some way that $5,000 turned to $418 to support for our Juneteenth festival. So our celebration of freedom is worth $418 to the city of Boynton Beach. I don't consider that very diverse or cultural. I also informed the commission of Chevy TV Foundation Screens for Success program and asked Commissioner Hay for $200. He agreed to even give me $200, and Commissioner Romulus chimed in and agreed to give me $200. And I have yet to receive any funds from Commissioner Hay. I've emailed him twice. I've called and left messages twice. I get no responses, no replies, like Mr. Orr said in the last meeting. I said only one commissioner out of 4 supported this program, which I have a certificate of appreciation here from Chevy TV Foundation signed by the mayor and myself. A certificate of appreciation for donation for Commissioner Christina Romulus. We really appreciate you supporting us, trying to support our families here in Boynton Beach and get everyone connected to the internet and have devices in their homes. There are 4 commissioners on this board and not one other commissioner supported this program here in the city of Boynton, but they all have community support funds to support the community. Yet they don't volunteer to support the community or our outreach programs. 700 West Atlantic Avenue in Delray Beach houses Dupree's Jackson's EJS project, a youth social service organization, which is owned by Delray Beach's CRA.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes.
your time is up. If you could please wrap it up in the next 30 seconds.
No, go ahead. Y'all good. I got my point across. But this isn't a very diverse or cultural city, and I'm not feeling it. So.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Hay.
Just a comment to Darrell. I did approve the $200. I don't know what happened. We will find out what happened there. Normally, the process is that we approve it and it gets done. So we'll look into that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Katz.
Yeah, I would also like to comment. In recent years, I have donated my community support funds to homeless students who attend Boynton Beach High School, to a youth rugby program that services mostly low-income children and charges no dues to participate. So I would just say to those comments, there are literally hundreds of interests in the city, and each commissioner, I believe, dedicates their annual allocation to endeavors that they see fit. So I would urge the speaker to recognize that they are not the only person of need seeking these funds, and that if they go to other groups, that is not a slight. That is just a choice that we each have the right to make. Thank you.
All right.
Mayor, just a quick update. I'm checking with staff. The request from Commissioner Romulus has been processed and a check was mailed. I'm just confirming that was mailed to Darrell, and Commissioner Hay, yours is being processed as we speak. So.
Thank you.
Okay. And yeah, for me as Juneteenth, I know I've been speaking with Mr. Standers about that. I think this is a very important holiday for the city of Boynton Beach to have. And I know that, MLK kind of moved from January to August. But this is something that we really need to have a bigger support on behalf of the commission and the city to support Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day. This is something where we as a country ended the Civil War, and that is when everybody in this country knew that the Civil War ended. So I will be doing what I can to reach out to have other organizations and people involved with the Juneteenth so that everyone feels welcome and can celebrate our unity together.
And Mayor?
Yes.
I just think for clarification that the city did commit, we agreed that we would allocate funds for a Juneteenth celebration, but I don't believe it was ever explicitly said that one individual would be cut a check to spend those funds as they please. So as far as I know, through conversation, there is intention of utilizing city funds for a celebration, but it is not our practice, at least in the 5 years I've been up here, to just cut a check to a third-party entity to host an event, just for accountability's sake. I don't think that's how the city has operated in the past. So just to clarify some of those statements as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I agree that the city is going to be providing certain city facilities, certain city staff, and that also is part of the funds used. Is there any further comments? Seeing none, Mr. Orr, you have the floor.
Tori Orr, Boynton Beach, Florida. Well, I have a couple concerns today. How everybody doing today? I hope y'all doing good. I want to tell you, I want to give a thanks out to City Manager Lori for the $418 for the Juneteenth. I appreciate it. The police chief, I want to call for the police chief of Michael Gregory to resign out of the Boynton Beach Police Department immediately, because his officers are still pulling Black people in our community, sticking their hands in their pocket, not giving them tickets, not pulling them, but not giving them tickets. So you can't show it on the computer like they're doing a lot of pulling, because they're just pulling them, letting them go. And I'm seeing this, I live on Seacrest, I walk out my door at night and I'm seeing them sit at St. John Church Field all night and come out that little hole, targeting people of the community all night long. That's what I'm saying. And I have a question for Casey Johnson, the Parks and Rec. This week I was having an event for my brother. My brother got killed in Boynton.
Into the microphone, sir.
My brother got killed in Boynton Beach, Florida, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. And this is my first time ever trying to have something for him. I was able to build up enough glory to go out there and say, I'm gonna do something for my brother. I got his kids out, my son out, six people out. The cops come. They tell me, he said, you got to shut it down. Say you can't have no event out here. Then I called the mayor. Casey told me, he said, well, if you bring Porky out, it's called an event. We got one of the biggest grills in Boynton Beach. So we do bring it out. We know it's an event. So I said, we're not bringing it out. We're gonna use the park grill. So it's first come, first serve. He said, if nobody books it. Okay, I get out there Saturday, no one's out there. I book, I get out there. We out there all the way from 12 to 2:51. When the first cop come, he told me, who running this event? I said, it's not an event, it's a gathering for my brother. We got killed 2 years ago in the city. He said, well, you got to shut this down. I said, well, it's first come, first serve. He tell my DJ, the DJ, hey, you got 5 minutes to get that equipment off of the property, or else. When he said, or else, I got pissed off. Because he said, he came being a bully. That's bully stuff going on in the police department of Boynton. And they came and told me, said, well, we'll lock you up. The mayor is right there. I said, lock me up for what? He was right there when they said it. The officers, the bullies of the city that we all saying there's so much diversity in. It's a good day to be from Boynton Beach, but is it? I'm being calm as I can, you know? 'Cause I know y'all need to hear what I got to say.
Mr. Orr, you have 30 more seconds.
You know, but man, this is not right. I was about the way I got treated out to a park where my brother got killed in this city. The way I got treated from the police chief, he didn't have my number that day to call me. He said he didn't got my number. The police chief said he don't have my number. So I'm like, damn, how you ain't got my number? You been had my number. So how about today? Today, soon as the verdict come down from George Floyd, I get a text from your very own chief of police telling me, well, just so you know, it is all 3 counts, not guilty. We're guilty. I'm like, why would I need to need that? Why are you telling it to me? And you embarrassing me in front of my kids and my son, my brother kids. And y'all saying this is a loving city. Where? We 501(c)(3)s. We nonprofit. We LLCs. Where's the love? Like, what I supposed to do? What I supposed to do? These people embarrassed me in front of my son. He's 22 years old. Good kid.
Mr. Orr.
You know, but it's all good.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you. I ain't gonna cut my ass up. You got all these police here.
Mr. Orr, I'm going to ask you to stop speaking this or your time's up. So,
I know.
Mr. Orr, I'm going to have to ask you to leave if you keep on talking. So I was there on April 10th, and I did see that there was amplified music, which is what our city ordinance says. So there was DJ equipment with 1 speaker, not multiple speakers. I didn't hear the volume of the music. I asked the police if there was any decibel taking of the music, and they said there wasn't any, so we don't know if the music was too loud or not. The point that I have is that amplified music could be, you know, a Bluetooth speaker. And I don't think that someone should be able to shut down a gathering just because of a Bluetooth speaker. Furthermore, at my conversation with the city managers yesterday, we wanted to have a sign similar to what we have at Oceanfront Park at the certain pavilions, so that people are aware of the different rules that we have at our parks. And that's kind of where that the city needs to help inform the people of the rules and regulations that we have at our parks, because we're going to have more and more people coming and using the parks, especially this summer, because they didn't necessarily use it last summer. So I thank you, Mr. Orr, for letting us know of your experience, and we're going to work on behalf of the city to make sure that everyone's experience is better because of what you told us today.
Mayor, may I just to reassure.
All right. So, Lori, I've asked him to.
I'm sorry. What pictures? What is he talking about?
I don't know. So, Lori?
I just wanted to let the commission know, one, the $5,000 that Daryl's talking to, that's not anything that's budgeted. We have funds in the special event budget that was not utilized for the holiday parade. So as the commission's direction, we certainly will work with them and utilize, and I think you said up to $5,000 for Juneteenth event. Absolutely. You know, I just want Daryl to understand the city has procurement rules. We have processes on how that money is spent. So we will absolutely continue to work with them to support the event in terms of marketing, food, flyers, activities, however we can help. But we just need to communicate so we can process the funds appropriately. But the $400 today is not the limit or the end. We supply funding for crepe paper and some coloring books so far, because that's been the only request that's come in. So we'll continue to work with them, absolutely, to help them have a successful event.
Thank you. And yes, Commissioner Hay.
Just for my clarity, so I can understand what's happening here. Was there a DJ out there or not? And was there a permit? You were there?
So the conversation that we have is that there was a phone conversation from our Parks and Recs director to Mr. Orr stating not to bring his grill. In addition, there was information to not have any alcohol or not have amplified music or DJ equipment. And so Mr. Orr either did not understand that from Mr. Young or did not choose to listen to it. And so when the police came, he was upset because it wasn't just when he started, it was after an hour or so of being there that he was asked to turn the music. He wasn't asked to turn the music off. He was asked to shut down the gathering.
Well, I kind of feel a lesson learned here for all of us going forward is to put these things in writing somehow and make sure that we don't have a misunderstanding. Because as far as my understanding of our ordinances says that if you're going to have a DJ or you're going to have alcohol, you can't have alcohol out there. I don't think. Am I wrong on that? It's not supposed to be alcohol out there.
I didn't see the sign.
Okay, well, I need some clarity from legal or from the city manager or somebody, because this can really get out of hand if we continue down this road of if they have alcohol out there and there's no sign and all that kind of stuff. That's why it needs to be in writing, so the terms and clarity of how the pockets will be utilized is all spelled out, and we don't get this kind of discussion at the end. So I'm just a little concerned here that there's been opportunity for misunderstanding, and we really don't need that, and there's no need for it. So let's kind of learn from this and put things in writing.
Yes, that's kind of where I feel that there is a flyer or a brochure that we have with the parks. And, you know, as Mr. Orr was saying, is that on Saturday after the Earth Day, I did go by the park, Sarah Sims, and did see someone with a grill out there in the middle that they brought. So
was there drinking out there?
Well, I don't know what they were drinking.
Okay.
But
no, we have cameras.
We do have cameras, and I know that I was there on Easter as well, and I'm not going to say if there was drinking or not, but there's a lot of people. So that's kind of where we want to make sure that we are clear with our signage so that everyone who doesn't have the American Legal Publishing Corporation's access to all of our ordinances is able to know what we allow in our parks on the first come, first served basis.
Mayor.
Yep. I'm going to go Vice Mayor, then Commissioner Katz.
I have a question for staff. I mean, if this is, if we don't have signs now, I mean, do we have this problem with other people? Has this been ongoing for quite some time? And if yes, what have we done about it? And if no, how come this hasn't been an issue before? What is the difference?
There are signs posted at all of our parks. They cite the ordinance. I don't know to what extent, and Casey's available to speak to that. No, this is not an issue for us. I think there were two very clear conversations with Mr. Orr about what he could and couldn't do. No need to put it in writing. If it was a special event application, everything would have been in writing, but this was a simple communication via telephone on 2 occasions, which is what we normally do when people inquire as to whether or not they needed a special event. We are going to look at posting more simpler signs, perhaps with what is expressly prohibited at each pavilion. That might make it a little more obvious of without absent a special event permit, there's no alcohol, no DJ, no personal barbecues, you know, because I think there's really only 4 or 5 basic rules that are kind of the standard. So that may help to post one. But, you know, a lot of signs get ugly. So we do have them, though, posted at all of our parks.
And so, yes, I'm currently looking at our city ordinances, and I just want to be clear that what we're saying is saying no to Article 2 of our Code of Ordinances, City Parks and Beaches, the Section 16, that it is clear to both us and the people who are there, because I think it needs to be on the pavilions, because each pavilion should have a use of what you can or cannot do on it. And so I think what we should do is that over at Sarah Sims, we'll see if it works. And if that's the case, move it to the other pavilions, if the commission is okay with that.
No, I'm not. Okay. Whatever we do to one park, we need to do it to all parks. Because the ordinance applies to all parks in the city, not just to Sarah Sims.
What I was saying is the signs for our approval, to see if that's good, or do we need to make the signs different? So we'll have you, Commissioner Hay, I think the city manager will coordinate with you with what the signs look like, so that we know what we want to have throughout all the parks.
This is something we need to really take care of as a priority, because I know I'm going to be getting phone calls about what can we do and what can't we do. So I need to be clear, because if there's someone doing something and they're getting away with it, and then it's against the ordinance, I've been trying to get a handle on this thing, and I feel very uncomfortable with what's going on over there. So I need some immediate attention to this, to try to get some clarity on what needs to, what can and what can't be done. So that's all I'm asking.
Mayor.
Yes.
And on, I guess for future reference, if I ask city legal on your question about amplified sound, I'd like to get clarification on that, because I know personally I tried to hold an event. I held an event one time at the supervisor of elections office in their parking lot for a rally for the teachers, and I guess the county has a very specific definition of amplified sound and the requirements for a permit. And I don't know our specific language, but if that needs to be tightened up to give clarity. And the gist of it was, some sort of personal sound device, like a Bluetooth speaker or boombox or whatever anyone else would bring for a personal, usage, but anything that would take over a space, such as a DJ and loudspeakers. I wasn't allowed for the event that I held, because it was on short notice, to use amplified sound. So I had to use like a bullhorn. I couldn't use a microphone and a speaker because I didn't have the permit. So I think that the point of that, other than reducing, noise ordinance violations by having a big party in public, is that you don't take over a space that you don't have the authority to. So I just would ask to the city attorney to get back to me or anyone else who's interested via email with the language on our amplified sound, and if it needs to be tightened up to be more clear, so that it avoids a situation like this. But definitively having a DJ with sound equipment, to me, is pretty obviously amplified sound and would take over a space. So that's something I would like to get cleared up or learn more about personally.
I think that what I'd like to say is that our Parks and Recs ordinances may need to be looked at. I'm looking at section 16-55. It says use of fireplaces and picnic areas. I don't know if there was a time when we called grills fireplaces, but I think, I didn't see grills as part of our ordinance. So I think we need to update the language to make sure that it is to today's standard. Commissioner Haig?
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we move on to the next public comment?
No, just to support what Commissioner Katz just said. I'd like some clarity on where we are, what does ours say, and be able to move on.
No, it's with the Combating Public Disorder Act that was recently put into Florida law. It's something that we really need to understand what our ordinance is, understand what our special event permits are. Because I've asked our city attorney if sidewalks were included in the public streets, roads, and highways, and he said that they were. So if people are on sidewalks blocking pedestrians, it seems like that is the new violation of the Combating Public Disorder law.
Okay, again, just to wrap up, I just want to make sure that whatever I'm telling the public is accurate.
All right. Our next speaker is online, Ace Ratcliffe. I have unmuted you. If you'd like to speak, please unmute your side.
Hi there, Ace Tilton Ratcliffe. I'm at 142 Southwest 13th Avenue, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33435. It might be a little early for this, but I just wanted to add to the conversation that's going to be had about the Pride crosswalk, especially given HB 1475 and what much of the Florida legislature is trying to do in regards to trans people. I would love if part of the conversation perhaps involved a crosswalk that also had trans flag colors. So just think that is an important part of the conversation and might be a really cool way to show pride for the transgender people that are in the Boynton Beach community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mark Laveria. You have your hand raised. You're unmuted. Mr. Laveria, I don't know if you did it on purpose.
No, he didn't, I'm sure. He observed. It's like butt dialing, thank you.
You might as well know.
All right, so he does have his hand raised. I'll come back to him, but now we have our Glenn Weiss. You are currently self-muted. If you'd like to speak. Mr. Weiss? If not, all right. I'll be moving on and lowering their hands. Okay. Seeing no more public comments or questions. John, is that correct?
Yes, Mayor Grant, those were the only hands that I saw raised, and I did not see any questions posed.
All right. Now we're moving on to administrative. Appoint of eligible members of the community to serve in vacant positions in city advisory boards.
I guess I have the Arts Advisory. I'd like to appoint Ace Tilton Ratcliffe as a regular.
Hold on one second.
Second.
The clock is going.
Oh. We have a first and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. We have 2 regular and 2 alternate positions available in the Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals. We have 3 regular positions available on the Citizens Oversight Committee. Are we going to get in trouble not having a quorum for the Citizens Oversight Committee? Lori?
I know ordinance, I'll have to talk to Jim. We're required to meet once a year. So we've got to, we'll have to go actively recruit someone or something because it is a requirement of the referendum. So it needs to.
Lose $4 million each year.
Yeah, I don't think we'll make sure that does not happen.
Okay. We have one position available on the Community Redevelopment Agency Advisory Board. We have one alternate available on the Education Youth Advisory Board. We have one regular position available on the Employee Pension Board. We have one alternate available on the Historic Resources Preservation Board. We have one regular on the Recreation and Parks and one regular on the Senior Advisory Board. Moving on to the Advisory Board Ordinance revisions. It's following out on discussion we had last meeting. Is there someone staff to present this item?
No, Mayor, I think we just, well, Jim, I don't know, do you want to review the track changes that we put the options in the backup, or, you know, we left this open as a discussion item. Originally, the commission was focused on whether or not the chair and vice chair language should be in there, and Jim put some options in the track changes in your backup.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Katz.
So my personal preference is that we change whatever language we need to so that the boards select their respective chair and vice chair. I personally wouldn't want to get into that business. You know, I read the minutes of the meetings, but I certainly don't attend or watch all the meetings, so I wouldn't want to kind of usurp or interfere with their dynamic in selecting the person they feel is most fit for those roles. That's just my 2 cents.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Haig.
I do concur with that. I know that's item C, I believe, but I don't think we as the commission need to be in the business of choosing a chair or vice chair. That's just another layer of bureaucracy, and the people in those different boards and committees know the people better than we do. We have enough challenges with trying to appoint people to the boards. And I definitely don't want to get into the business, as Commissioner Catter just said, of appointing chairs and vice chairs. So I'm not for that at all.
Yeah, I concur with that. I think what I would request from city staff is that once a chair and vice chair are nominated and accepted by each board, that we get a report of that, or it's going to be with the minutes. So strike that. So we'll ask, so we have consensus to move forward with an ordinance giving the advisory boards the ability to name their own chair and vice chair as they had before.
Yes.
All right. And do we have another with consensus? I believe Commissioner Katz. So we have 3. All right. And as it currently stands, we have the requirement under our city ordinance to nominate the chair and vice chair of certain organizations. So what do you suggest we do with that? Because an ordinance change will need 2 readings, and we can give each advisory board the ability to choose their own chair and vice chair until the new ordinance is put in place.
Are you talking about 5C?
Yep.
Okay, I think I've stated my position on that, but I really think the rationale behind this is not justifiable in terms of why are we doing this? I mean, we had one bad apple in terms of the chair for the P&D board and David Katz, and I don't think we need to we need to change our whole dynamics here because of one individual who's not even here anymore. And there's many times that lately I've been noticing that some of these boards are not matching the vision of the commission. So I have concerns about that anyway. But as far as getting back to the appointing the chair and the vice chair, I'm still against that. And I would not be supporting that.
So, yes, Vice Mayor.
I know we've already moved on to item C here, but I just want to point this out. In item B, there were actually plenty more of track changes that our attorney wanted to draw attention to. Is that a conversation this board would like to have? If not, we can just move on to C. But I just want to make sure everybody's aware that there are other discussion topics. For example, should we allow advisory board members to serve in multiple boards? That's one of the items brought up. Do we open this up to business owners, not just residents? So those are all there in the document. But again, if you guys would just want to move on, that's fine as well.
And I think Commissioner Romulus had raised the question about process and steps in process. Are we adding layers? And Commissioner Romulus, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember what your comments were. I think.
Yes, yes, I had. I just was trying to figure out where to interject that because we kind of just stuck on the chair and vice chair conversation and then moved on. So I'm a little perplexed as to what's going on with the agenda item. So I'm assuming that we should be going back to item B to discuss that in further detail, since is that where all of that would take place? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can ask Jim to take you through the track changes. There's also, I think, an option as to whether or not the commission wants to reconsider employees sitting on boards. I think that was another item that was identified. I'm at a loss trying to find my document.
Yeah, could somebody pull up, John, could you pull up the
in the backup?
The ordinance itself, the one that's
track changes.
Right.
All right, so item 5B, the attachment.
The attachment, please.
Okay, just a second. Okay,
So,
there you go.
Well, if you scroll down to the first point where there's a suggested change, if you could find that, I think what you're going to see on the online agenda is that, there you go.
There you go.
Is that it there?
That's the first one, right. So you've just discussed the selection of chair and vice chair. I think we have direction on that, but I do want to point out that you don't have to have the same rule for all boards universally. There are certain boards that the commission interacts with much more than they interact with other boards, where recommendations of the boards drift up to the commission for approval or ratification, or just the commission's own action. By way of example, the bullet points, the Planning and Development Board only makes recommendations, but at the same time, the Planning and Development Board conducts a preliminary quasi-judicial hearing for the commission. So those are that kind of position. And, you know, Commissioner Hay, you did point out that there was an issue with one particular board chairman at some point in the history, but there have been other issues with board chairmen as well. There may be current issues going on with some board chairs that would warrant further discussion with the commission, perhaps not publicly, but privately. So Planning and Development Board, Library Board, and Art Advisory Board, I believe I'm going to speak on behalf of staff that interacts through the liaisons to those boards. I think we still recommend that those chairs and vice chairs be appointed by the City Commission.
Mayor.
Yes.
Hearing everything that has just been said, I'm going to support that position that for the majority of boards, they can nominate and they can appoint their own chairs and vice chair. But when it comes to these strategically valuable boards, P&D, Library, Art Advisory, that we do make that appointment. So I'm going to take that position. I know there was not support for that, but I will make it nonetheless.
Mayor.
Mr. Romulus.
The friendly amendment that I would make to that would simply be, I think it's a version of what Commissioner Katz said earlier, which is that they would still get the autonomy to choose their chair and board chair and, I'm sorry, their vice chair and board chair, and that then that decision would come up to us for final ratification, or if that's the proper word to use, simply because, again, they do know their individual board members. They know each other. They interact with each other on a monthly basis, whereas we probably just see them when they come, on an application before us for appointment, unless we probably know them personally. But I can't count on one hand how many of those people I probably know personally that I've appointed. I've gotten to know them. I've had phone calls. I've looked them up on Facebook or found other ways to kind of get to know them before appointing them. But I can't say that I know every single person who I've appointed. So I would still rather leave the decision to the board members to select their chair and vice chair. But then again, leave the ultimate decision for those particular boards, not all boards, to us.
Mayor?
So, yeah, I don't want to keep on speaking in circles here. So the aspect of it is that we, as the commission, through the minutes, get to see who's ratified as the chair and the vice chair. Does this board or commission want to be able to remove a chair or vice chair because currently that is not within our ordinance, and that's why it was changed?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes.
They serve at our pleasure, and if they fail to do that.
And so that's kind of where, we have the ability to remove anyone at our advisory boards with cause and so with that, I feel that the ordinance should not be that the city commission has to approve or ratify any vice chair or chair appointment, but they have the ability to remove that appointment with a majority vote of the commission. Does that gives everybody what they'd like, so that it's still the advisory board's decision. However, it gives authority to the commission to remove somebody if the commission, by majority vote, feels that that is in the best interest of the city.
Mayor?
Yes.
I can live with that. I just want us to be careful about elevating the boards and committees are there to assist the commission and give input to us. But we should be careful not to elevate one board or one committee above another, because there is the talk out there that the P&D board is the springboard to running for commission. I mean, whether it's true or not, which I don't believe it is, but there is that talk out there. And when we begin to separate and treat one differently than another, then maybe we are contributing to that. So I support what is on the table, that they select their own chair and vice chair, and that list come to the commission for ratification, as the term has been used. And we have the authority, ability to remove and replace as it comes to us.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm going to support the position that's been taken by Commissioner Romulus. And, I understand everything that Commissioner Hay has just said, and he makes some excellent points. And you do as well, Mayor, but my concern here is that that position is retroactive. It's after the fact. I don't want to let a problem fester, then we remove somebody from their position. I would rather that we set the tone by proactively selecting. And just to reiterate, the position that I am supporting is that that the board themselves nominate or select, whatever term you want to use, and then we ratify or approve. So this way it's a more proactive instead of retroactive. And
Mayor,
you are correct about what you've said. People have said that. I have heard it. That is completely incorrect, and I'm not sure who's spreading those false truths.
Mayor, if I may, just one last comment. This is going to be it. But whatever policy procedure that we put in place, it will be understood by these committees and these boards. And if they go ahead and select their chair and their vice chair, they understand that those chairs and vice chairs temporarily acting, if you will, until it's ratified by the commission. That's not a problem. And then once it's ratified by the commission, they're permanent. We must educate them on what the rule is. So I understand what Vice Mayor is saying, but I don't think it's a real problem here if we put the policy in place that they're acting once they're selected by their peers on a temporary basis, and then we ratify it. So I don't see a problem.
Mayor, I'm slightly confused. It sounded like he was agreeing with what has been said.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
And Mayor, if I may jump in, these chairs and vice chairs are on an annual basis anyway, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's one point. The other point is, Mayor, I do agree with the language that you've introduced, which is that we should have the autonomy or the authority to remove, just like we have the authority to remove our city manager or our city attorney. I'm not saying that we should. I'm just using an example here. Don't get scared, guys. Just like we have that authority, we should have the same authority with individuals who are volunteering on our city boards. Especially if they're doing things that are uncouth or untoward to what the city and our values represents. We've had multiple examples of that in these past few years. So I think those should be lessons learned.
So I want to be clear for the staffs is that we want to have the ability to remove a appointment or on the advisory board, or remove appointment of a chair or vice chair, or do we want to have the ability to, and also do we want to have the ability to ratify the chair and vice chair? Do we want to have all of those rights?
Yes to both for me.
Yes.
Any member of any board, not just officers or whatnot, any member of any board should be under our purview to remove or dismiss if necessary.
By majority vote of the commission, yes.
Right.
Majority
Correct.
vote of the- Correct.
So Mayor, can we
Agree.
clarify then, if somebody's removed as the chair, during that discussion, you're going to make the decision as whether or not you're removing them off the board. I think you just tried to clarify this, off the board altogether, or they're just being demoted down to a regular seat, for the lack of a better word, demoted, versus a chair. So they're not automatically kicked off the board. They're stepping down out of the chair role, or is
Correct.
that?
Basically, if it comes to our attention that someone who was good at being a board member, but not necessarily good at being a chairperson, we have the ability to remove them as that chairperson, and ask that committee to find someone else. And so I think that's the consensus, that commission wants to have the ability to ratify the chair and vice chair, and that they want to have the ability to remove the vice chair and chair, and that we currently have the ability to remove any person on the board.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
Did he freeze or did he not finish?
No, that's it.
Oh,
So,
okay. I wasn't sure. Okay. All right. I think we covered all of it. And I think the other topic that I just wanted to bring up as a discussion to this, and this is simply just kind of seeing where the commission is on this topic. As we brought up the Planning and Development Board, we've been trying to be more seamless and trying to be more streamlined in how we do business here in the city of Boynton Beach. And one of the things that I understand is that, the hearings before the P&D board is more of a dress rehearsal for companies or for developers before coming to the commission. So is that one step that perhaps we need to look at in terms of simplifying the, the development sequence of businesses coming to our city, and so that we can help our businesses not feel like they're having to jump through so many hoops just to get to the final decision, which ultimately is in our hands as the board. So that's a topic that I wanted to bring up to this board and see where we stand on that and what the appetite is for that discussion.
I don't have that appetite. I think our planning and development board does a great job. I think that they do make recommendations to the developers that, are for the benefit of the city. And that's kind of where we want. I know that there are times where they act more as a political and not necessarily a tactical board, and or professional board, in the sense, not in professionality, but as a experience of engineers, architects. And so I want to make sure that with our planning and development board, we are appointing people with the requisite skills to be on the planning and development board. And I believe
Go ahead, Mayor.
And so that's kind of where I'm not in favor of, giving developers not having developers go through that extra step, because I think it is very important to hear the citizens' response to any project.
Well, to that, Mayor, were you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, all I was going to say is I know that a couple of the citizens didn't necessarily want more fast food restaurants here, but, we feel that is, development that is beneficial to us, especially, the drive-throughs. I see the Taco Bell, I see the McDonald's that are coming in, and I think that the extra requirements that sometimes the planning and development board puts in for landscaping and parking is something that we are better off on. And
I hear you. Okay, thank you. I hear you, and I agree, and that's simply what I want to make sure we focus on. That board is one, has members that fill those requirements that I believe are there and should still be there, in terms of we want somebody who has different people who have different backgrounds that can bring these types of expertise to the table, and those conversations. And you said something earlier that I think was very poignant. Sometimes that board at times feels more political than it feels tactical. And as these individuals are making advisory decisions to us, we want to honor their decisions, especially if they're being made from a place of expertise and not just from a place of opinions or NIMBY feelings. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there and make sure that we reiterate that this is what we are looking and expecting of this board, and that's what we would like to see proceeding moving forward.
Okay. Is there any other comments on item 5B? Moving forward to item 5C. Does this commission want to appoint or a chair or vice chair for any of the advisory boards, or do we want to, even though it's not part of our ordinance now, to ratify whatever selection that they do pick?
What are their selections?
We didn't ask them to do that. We just asked who wanted to run for all, to be chair or vice chair. I know from my experience, on an advisory board, it's something where you would want that board to pick who they would want to run the meetings, because not everybody wants that position who's on that board. So, Lori and Jim, if we do not pick the chair and vice chair, is it going to be whoever was the chair and vice chair before tonight's meeting?
Yes, sir. That's what will occur. They'll hold that until some other action is taken.
Okay. Do we need to table this, or do we can go with non-voting?
I think it'd be better to table it in case it needs to be readdressed. It'll come back.
Okay. Motion
moved
to,
Mayor,
yes, Commissioner, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor.
that's fine. Just a brief comment. So my position on this for the current board is that they do come back to us with nominations, and which we will then review precisely as what we have just discussed. So I would prefer that.
And that way we'll see, the voting of who was chair or vice chair, if it was a 4-3 or a
Yes.
unanimous.
I think you could expect, based upon your discussion, that the next agenda for each and every board that is required or needs to appoint a chair or vice chair will do so, with the understanding that the agenda will be notated that it's subject to ratification by the commission. So if you table tonight, it'll circle back to you as those boards fulfill that task.
And that won't be in one agenda item next meeting. It will be sporadically as these boards actually meet. All their schedules are different. So you'll be getting them piecemeal.
So we'll get it within the 2 meetings next month.
Assuming they.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull an item?
Yes,
Okay, Commissioner Hay.
I'd like to pull item 6G as in George.
Okay. Myself, real quick to talk about 6D. And is there anything else from the commission? All right, item 6D, I'd like to thank staff for this wonderful presentation of who our vendors are, what they've completed. And I don't know if Pelton and Associates are still on the meeting, but these are other people that hopefully they would ask for donations to the city. And the other aspect of it is that could we, as part of our scoring rubric, Jim, have local involvement as part of a point or something in that sense, or community involvement when we're scoring different professionals for items?
The answer is yes. We'd have to be very careful about how specific that language is, so that everybody is playing on an equal playing field about what that terminology means. But there could be points awarded for that.
Okay. So I'll ask the commission, is this something that we want to look into for future scoring rubrics about having community involvement as part of some of the criteria along with experience?
Mayor, could you elaborate on what you mean by community involvement?
I do not want to elaborate. I will let the applicants elaborate what they feel is community involvement.
It's hard for me to say. It should be part of the rubric if I'm not entirely.
Community involvement is involvement in the community.
So this could be as simple as volunteering with the school. Is that what you're thinking of, or something more than that?
It could be not necessarily us. It could be anything, anywhere. So it's that aspect of where we're trying to increase equity and diversity. This is something that I feel community involvement would also include. So that's something that we may want to discuss at a future agenda. So I'll wait to speak about that item later.
Sure.
But I'd like to.
For now, I will support it. It
Okay.
sounds like it's a good thing. And if it's open definition, it doesn't sound like a burden of any sort. So it should be fine.
But that's not this item. But
yes,
so we'll.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'll have a motion. May I have a motion to accept staff's amazing report and presentation of the construction and engineering contracts?
Motion to approve. To accept.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next, we have item 6G, proposed resolution 21-039.
Yeah, I pulled that because, I started trying to read it, but it was just too much for me. I mean, it's like 238 pages. So I'm just wondering if someone could just kind of give me the Reader's Digest version and tell me why are we doing this? Is it a better deal or what's going on? I guess Mark would be the one to give me some input on that.
Yes, sir. Mara's prepared to address the commission.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Mara Fredrickson, Director of Financial Services. The purpose of this agreement tonight is to utilize the rates that are being offered through the City of Boca Raton's banking services agreement. It gives us an option for rates locked in through 2022 and gives us the time to put out our own RFP for banking services during that time. We've been with Bank of America since 2004. We are going to put out an RFP probably within the next year for banking services, but this locks in the rates that Boca Raton has currently.
May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to approval of the remainder of the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to consent bids and purchases over 100,000.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to public hearing. Proposed ordinance number 21-014 and 21-015. Jim?
I'll read both. 21014, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending ordinance 02013 to rezone, 014 is by amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan for property commonly known as Knuth Road and described herein, changing the land use designation from local retail commercial to mixed use low, providing for conflict severability and effective date. Ordinance 015, an ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending ordinance 02013 to rezone a parcel of land described herein as and commonly referred to as Knuth Road from PCD planned commercial development to SMU suburban mixed use, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
May I have a motion to approve 21-014?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Does the commission need? Yep.
Good afternoon. Colby Barton, representing the property owners of Knuth Road on behalf of the law firms of Saraga Lipsky. I wanted to double check that you guys got a letter from the law firm of, I apologize, the law firm of Sicklin Lubitz regarding this issue. Sicklin is Ciklin, and then Lubitz, Lubitz.
I don't recall, but I will check my email.
And Mayor, just to clarify that the speaker said he represents the property owners of the item.
Yes, that is what he said.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Neither have I.
Well, just to, in case it does come to your attention, Basically, they represent the community of Quail Ridge, and they wanted to cite basically, and in their own words, they wanted to make sure that any owners or future owners were aware of the SMU 3 times setback rule that goes along with the land. So in short, they're basically just concerned that the SMU housing that could be built, they want to make sure it's as far enough distance from their property.
We will make sure that it follows our code.
Right.
And we do that for everybody.
I got that. But I'm here obviously representing the landowners, and I personally have read the letter by Sicklin Lubitz, and as such, I would just like to take a few minutes just to bring to your attention and highlight the following facts. If that's okay with you?
Well, we don't have that letter as part of our public record, so you're free to speak on whatever you'd like in the property owner's favor. However, we don't hear anything that is against it right now. So you have another opportunity to come back if we do receive the letter.
Okay. Well, or I don't see, I'm very excited about this. Yeah. So, might as well. I'm happy to come back later, but I just wanted to point out and remind the commission that my clients are located, their property is located within the jurisdiction of the city of Boynton Beach proper, and thereby they're citizens and have been taxpayers for a very long time.
You know how much they pay in tax though, right?
No, sir, I'm not privy to the.
Well, I believe it's under 1,000 for the multiple acres that they have because of the agricultural use.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm sure if we can look back into the total number of years, it would add up. Further though, the city initiated amendment and rezoning that you guys have introduced would introduce on upwards of 200 new taxpayers and new residents within the city of Boynton Beach. When you get this letter, you'll see why I'm bringing this up. But conversely, Quail Ridge is located outside of the city of Boynton Beach. It's in unincorporated Boynton Beach County and is therefore underneath the jurisdiction of the county of Palm Beach. And therefore, we have questioned to whether they have legal standing in this case. To a second point, the code that they cited under section 4 of your code is underneath what is called the height setback envelope. And as it's stated in the letter, I'll just read it to you very quickly. It says, the minimum building setbacks shall be based on building heights. The height setback envelope is applicable to where the SMU development is adjacent to a developed single-family residential zoning district. This minimum setback shall be 3 times the building height for any multi-family or non-residential structure. The setback shall be measured from the common boundary of the SMU and the single-family residential zoning district, or the midpoint of any intervening right-of-way. Now, as you haven't gotten the letter, you're not as privy to this, but I'm assuming you're familiar with the property and Quail Ridge. So therefore, to the exact, the land that is butting the property in question of my client is actually the golf course of Quail Ridge, which was recognized in the previous session. And that zoning for that said land is not zoned for single family residential use. It is actually zoned for agricultural residence. And to compound upon that, its future land use is zoned for LR3 and is not zoned for single family residence. Further, the first homes that are to the west of the parcel in question are not single family residential homes. The homes to the west of the property are clearly multi-residential homes. The closest single family residential home is to
I do want to interrupt you because we're not approving any site plans. So none of that is applicable to this, to the rezoning of this.
Okay.
So
I appreciate you citing it. I just didn't, we were under the impression that the letter was submitted and was supposed to be read into the record. And I just wanted to get that clear. Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So were this to come up later though?
We will see you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mayor Grant.
You're welcome.
Vice Mayor and Commissioner in the city.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak or have their hand raised or ask a question?
Mayor Grant, this is John McNally. There's a William Langley, and I will unmute. William Langley, you've been unmuted.
Thank you very much, Mayor, City Council. My name is William Langley. I've attended your last couple of meetings on this particular subject. I am the Chief Operating Officer of the community of Quail Ridge and the club at Quail Ridge. Yesterday afternoon at 4:28 p.m., our attorney Jason Mankoff from Sicklin and Lovitz forwarded an email letter to the city clerk of Boynton Beach, Florida, with a copy to Ed Breezy and Mr. Cheroff as well. So not sure why it was not there to be read into the record tonight, but the counsel for the owner is correct in the fact that when we came to the first meeting where this was on the agenda a month and a half or so ago, and it was pulled by the city council because you didn't really understand, I think at that time, what your zoning and planning folks were trying to do. There was a discussion at that time from Mr. Breezy that he thought, and it was read into the record, that he thought that the 3 times setback should apply. Also, your own planning and zoning folks went to great lengths to cite in their report to you that any future development would have to be done so with careful consideration to the neighbors of Quail Ridge. We asked at that meeting, and we're asking again by way of this letter, that you enforce the 3 times setback. It is correct that we're agriculture residential, but we're a community of 946. And just because we're right on the border of the city of Boynton Beach doesn't mean we're any less of a resident of the county of Palm Beach. And so we would just like for this letter to be found and to be read into the record, or if you'd like, I will be happy to read the letter, whatever you'd like to do.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Katz.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but to your point when you were speaking earlier to the previous speaker, we're not approving site plans, so any discussion about setbacks and things of that nature is not premature. And I know I certainly wouldn't be, I'm not interested in discussing a site plan characteristic for a hypothetical site plan at this time. That's just my personal view.
Commissioner Katz, with all due respect, we were provided I think a 6 or 7 page PowerPoint that was prepared by the owners of that property that showed the old use plan on it under the commercial regulations, and it showed the setbacks as 75 feet, and then it showed 3 rows of townhomes on it with the new setback still at 75 feet. And we're simply asking you to enforce what your rules are with regard to single family residential, and that's the 3x setback. Our new neighbors will have the ability to go much higher than our old neighbors would in terms of the height of the building. And we believe that that is the spirit of what is suggested by your planning folks when they wrote that information in there about paying specific attention to the neighbors of Quail Ridge.
And at the appropriate meeting where a site plan is submitted and this particular point would be relevant to that site plan, I welcome anyone with an opinion to come forward and speak at the appropriate time and meeting.
Yes, sir. Because we saw the projected use in the setback that didn't meet what we were led to believe 2 meetings ago, is the reason for the letter.
Mayor, could I just jump in here a second to end this unnecessary debate? The 2 items on the agenda, as Commissioner Katz has pointed out by reference, are an amendment to the future land use map and a rezoning. It has nothing to do with the site plan.
So thank you.
And by the way, there's no need to read a letter into the record if the letter is submitted to the clerk or somebody in the chambers to make part of the record. It can be made part of the record. There's no need to read it out loud. Has the same.
Well, fine, sir. It was sent to you yesterday.
Well, I did not receive it. I don't believe the city clerk received it, and we'll be happy to have a copy of it included in the record. And as the mayor pointed out, this matter is coming back again for consideration at the next commission meeting.
Duly noted.
All right. So if there's no one else that would like to make comments, this commission could ask for the questions of staff, or we can have a roll call vote. Seeing no further comments, I believe we're on Ordinance 21-014, amendment to the future land use. We just being clear, we do have a first and second on that motion.
Yes.
Thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome.
May I have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Katz,
Yes.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Yes.
Mayor Grant,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Penserga.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Moving forward with ordinance number 21-015.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And I got a hand raised from Ed Breeze. Ed, you're
Yes,
unmuted.
Mayor. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Okay,
Please state
thank
your name and position with the city.
I just wanted to clarify, sorry, Ed Breeze, Planning and Zoning Administrator. Just wanted to clarify that the item will actually not be back at the next City Commission meeting. If you choose to approve the ordinances, they will be forwarded on to the Department of Economic Opportunity up at the state, and they will take probably anywhere from 30 to 45 days in their review and give us a recommendation back, and that will be back before you in a public hearing setting once it's received.
Well, thank you for that update.
You're quite welcome.
Apologize for my miscommunication. All right. And seeing no further comments, we have a motion and a second.
Yes.
May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Mayor Grant,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Penserga,
Yes.
Commissioner Katz.
Yes.
The vote's 5-0.
All right. Thank you. Congratulations. Moving on to the next item, proposed ordinance 21-21. I've been requested by staff to remove this item, not just from the table, but from the agenda, so that we can have a workshop, as we were always intended to have that back in November. So may I have a motion to remove from the table?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. And then I'll ask for Jim, is it okay if we just do a no action?
It would be better to have a motion to remove it from the agenda.
May I have that motion, please?
Motion to remove from agenda.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Discussion of the 2021 4th of July event.
Eleanor's going to come on, Mayor, but we've presented a few options and wanted to have a chat with the commission on this year's event. We believe we can certainly hold one, a celebration. However, with COVID, probably need to continue to take additional precautions. Eleanor, do you want to go ahead and take them through what you've pulled together?
Sure. Before I do this small PowerPoint so we can visually look at our options, I do want to note that on the request item, request form, the West Palm Beach, since this was published, has decided to return their events to their regular locations, including Clematis by 9, their movies, and their fireworks display. So they are, just as a matter of reference, they are masks are required when they're around crowds in a food line, in a bathroom setting, or walking through the entrance of the event. Other than that, they're not doing pods or masks at the event. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. What I listed here is made from a week ago. But the CDC has had recommendations for large events, and now they're encouraging event organizers to have events, but to remain 6 feet apart and encourage mask wearing. So staff came up with 3 options, and John, if you have the PowerPoint, that'd be great.
It's loading right now, just a second. Here we go.
Okay. So this was our not last year, but that was the year before, 4th of July. It was held at Intercoastal Park. As you can see, the crowd was relatively large. It was about 6,500 according to our police department. So it was a packed area facing the waterfront there. As we go further and talk about Intercoastal, I'll talk about how we may be able to relieve that crowd if that's the venue that we choose. Next slide, please. This is one of the options, Intercoastal Park, which you just saw last year's year ago picture. And you can see that we do have room if we utilize all the green areas to accommodate that crowd by spacing them out. Staff does not feel like we should be offering a sand pile or children's activity where adults and children are sharing markers and that type of thing. So the use of that pavilion area but also, and around that pavilion area also gives extra space. We, in this particular scenario, suggest that the back green area where we park cars and about 45 cars fit back there, we could also maintain that for a viewing area. Next slide, please. This is Oceanfront Park. This was a new idea that we had this year about the ability to social distance better. It has 3 to 4 linear, as you can see by the setup there of the pavilions and the chairs, linear areas that could go from one end of Intercoastal to the other, actually go through Hammock Park and a little bit farther south as well. It also has a boardwalk, which could fit a line going from the first boardwalk, beginning of the boardwalk, all the way south. So you do have the ability there to have a large crowd. However, the second star that you have there is, because it's an ocean barge, there would be an additional $9,000 to secure that barge to the bottom of the ocean. It's a much larger barge. It has to be anchored into the bottom. And the others there, we would have on-site ADA and shuttles. On-site ADA would be at the pavilion farther to your north and could come in and go out, and that also could be for rideshare. The bottom would include a way for the buses and trolleys to come in the entrance of our parking area on the bottom there, turn around and go back out. We were trying not to impact A1A, so we were hoping that the buses would come up Woolbright and then leave the viewers at the beach and then go off across East Ocean. And on the top would be food vendors and concert. Next slide, please. We talked about this last year as an option, and we did go out and look at the area. This provides the least amount of space, we feel. It is a ground fireworks display. It would be 4-inch shells, which are just to imagine that right now we use about 8 to 10 foot shells out at ICP. So it'd be a low surface fireworks show. This would be able to have patrons be in their cars. It would also, if we did not want that, we could, South Florida Fairground does this, every other space would be a car, and then have the ability to have chairs outside of it, but that would reduce the number. I did, since this PowerPoint, we have contacted the, well, it says there we have, but since I drew up your request form on the agenda item, we have talked with them all, and he is applicable to having the event there if we choose. This event, we have to be a little careful in the radius. That's why I put that there. What you're seeing in that first parking lot really is a radius of the fireworks, so the cars would be on either side. And our last PowerPoint, our last slide. Again, this is what staff is recommending, oceanfront, primarily due to the ample spacing. We are anxious to start other smaller events up there. We know this would be the first event there would be large, but we have done them there in past years when I was here. The Ocean Ridge, as it notes on the bottom, would require us to get a special event permit, and that the city manager and staff would have to appear before the commission on May 9th if so desired. So we bring those to you for your decision on where you would like the fireworks. We're able to doing them at either of the sites. So whatever you desire, we will move forward.
Elmer, if I may add to that, and I think I shared this with the commission since we published, and I received an email from the town manager of Ocean Ridge, and to quote one section of it, she said she's pretty sure the commission will not be receptive to placing an exception for such a large event and opening up their special event process, because right now they're suspended due to COVID under their emergency order. So we would, if the commission desired to go this route, we would have to ask to get on the agenda on May 3rd to ask themselves, but it just doesn't sound likely. So, and that's loss of time and trying to get barges reserved, etc. So I'm inclined to say rule this one out this year.
I disagree. I think we should have it at the Intracoastal Park Clubhouse, as we've had in the past. You know, the big thing is that if you don't feel it's safe to go out, you don't have to be there. And so it's something where I know that I'm going to be having my vaccines. I know that the city is offering the vaccines to people, and so this is something, an incentive for people to get vaccines if they want to, because they will start being going around other people. This is, you know, the fact that, you know, I've been in restaurants with, you know, near people that I don't know, not wearing a mask and eating. It's kind of time for us to move forward, knowing that this is a contagious disease and we should all be cautious. However, I think what we have done in the past, especially for our Kinetic Art Fair, having sanitation stations throughout the area, requiring masks on buses is something that we could have. In addition, you know, there's a limited amount of parking, and so I'm okay with having ticketing for the parking, so that people know that either they have a space or that they don't, and that we offer the buses as we've had in the past. And that's kind of my position. I think that we do a great 4th of July at the Intracoastal Park, and I think this is something that we should move forward. In addition, with Oceanfront Park, our police don't necessarily have jurisdiction there. And so are we hiring Ocean Ridge Police to help support us in maintaining the crowd there?
It was going to, the chief's on, he can answer that. He did have a discussion with the police department.
No, he's actually not on the meeting tonight. He is out of the office. But I don't know what I would just there is. I think we need to rule out Ocean Park based on the communications I received from their town manager. So I don't know if you heard me say that, but I don't think this is a viable option, even though that was staff's recommendation. Since that time, the communication we've received doesn't seem viable for us. So your options would be intercoastal, as you just mentioned, in the mall.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Hay.
My position, based on what I'm hearing, even if we were to go at ocean front, we don't have control on that. And we hear from our city manager that it has to go before their board, and it's late in the game already. I don't think we need to run the risk of not having anything, and it's getting too late to do what we want to do. Plus, you would have to pay an additional $9,000 for the barge, and if the water is rough, they're not going to do it. I think we need to stick with what we control at the intercoastal. That's where I would. That's my position would be to go back to intercoastal, and we know what to expect there. We've done it before. Let's not run the risk of not having anything for the people because it's too late in the game. If you go before their board, they've already given us a negative. They've sent a letter. So why keep barking up a tree that you're not going to get anything from? So I say we go back to intercoastal. That's my position.
Do we have someone else from the commission?
Mayor, I'll just say that I'm on board with intercoastal, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, we got 3. I'm excited.
Okay, well, we appreciate it so much, and we'll get started tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you for your direction.
Who's the third one for intercoastal?
Vice Mayor.
And myself and you?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm not talking ocean front. Now I said intercoastal.
Intercoastal.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'm hopeful that we can do some events out there, smaller, maybe just hundreds rather, and just try it and give it out because it is one of our best amenities.
Eleanor, I think, that's something for another day, another time.
Yeah, I agree.
Have a special event. I don't think the 4th of July should be our first, or should be the city's first event from the 70s.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I'm excited to discuss the options for voluntary sustainability payment program for city residents and utility customers. As the commission approved, was it 7B, the roofing of certain utility buildings, advanced roofing as part of the brochure is solar panels. I think that we as a city commission need to find new funding mechanisms available to help with the stormwater runoff and increasing energy prices. I did receive information from FPL that they're looking to raise electricity rates over the next few years. And so this is something where it is a voluntary ability for the city to raise funds for sustainability. And I'll let Rebecca give a presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners, Mayor. John, could I have the slides, please? Oh, Rebecca, Sustainability Coordinator. Thank you. So I have just a brief update about what staff has learned about a potential voluntary sustainability payment program and how we propose to move forward with implementing it. Next slide. Background. The idea didn't originate on September 20th. I know we've talked about it before, but it came up at the September 1st, 2020 commission meeting when the city passed resolution R2091 for the tree canopy goal. And one of the ideas for implementing the tree canopy program, and also, as Mayor has just spoken about, raising money for other sustainable energy and other initiatives, would be to develop a voluntary payment program modeled after Florida Power and Light's previous Solar Now program that was operating a few years ago and was a $9 optional fee that customers could add to their bill that went into a fund to build solar demonstration projects. So we raised the issue from the beginning that we do have a third-party utility vendor that we would need to research how to potentially add this service into their services. So on the next slide, I have the first of two options. We received a quote from the vendor, Bill to Pay, and the first option that they gave us three, so two on this slide, one on the next. The first option was to add donations to the profile site for a one-time payment. And the cost for that would be free. They actually quoted, I think, $12,000, but then said they would waive that setup cost. So this would be no setup cost to the city. It does not, however, reach all of the utilities customers. It reaches, we estimate, about 43%, 16,000 out of the 37,000 total customers. So this is everyone who has a profile. So, you know, when you go to pay your bill, these are the folks who would pay their bill online, set up a profile site, but not the 10,000 or so that use autopay, because as anyone who uses autopay knows, you're not logging in every month and you don't see that option to add the voluntary payment. Okay, so that's option one. Option two would be to add donations to the profile site for both one-time and recurring payments. And the setup cost that they quoted for this would be $48,000. The reach would be higher. We estimate 27,000 or so of the customers, but the 10,650 auto pay customers would not be added. It wouldn't be added to their recurring payment. However, they would see it on the profile site. They would have to make a separate individual payment. So it's more, but not everyone still. And then on the next slide is option three, which would be to add the donation to the guest site. And so those are people who don't have the profile set up, but they just log in from time to time, or maybe they pay on paper, as I understand it. The setup cost for this was also quite high. It was $42,000, and staff has noted that this option would entail additional staff resources because there would be a lot of manual tracking of the donations that people are adding here and there, you know, as guests on the site or on their paper bills. Again, it would reach about 70% or so of the customers. So on the next slide is our recommendation. Based on those, it wasn't too difficult to see which was the most cost-effective option. And we reviewed with city management and agree that really the only feasible option of the three would be option one, the free option, which still would reach maybe 40 or more % of our customer base. And that's giving them this option on the profile site to add that one-time payment when they're logging in to pay their bill. So with the relatively limited reach, we're aware we would need to market this to increase visibility, so we could put an announcement on the bill that goes out, and all of our other marketing channels, of course. We would suggest donation amounts, something like $5, $10, $15, or other amount. It was noted among staff that there may be disputes that come up, since now it's a new box to check on the bill to pay site, that some people might check it by mistake and then not understand it, and there might be a little staff time needed to address those kind of things. And it was also noted that there might be additional fees to customers in the case that their bill jumps up from just below $100 to above $100, because there is a $1.50 charge per $100. So if they go from $98 to $102 or $3, then they would have an additional fee. So just another little wrinkle in the implementation that we'd have to be aware of. And one more slide here. The next one is additional recommendations, since we wouldn't be reaching all of the customers, we would also suggest to just add a standalone donation button on the city's website, on our Go Green page, or wherever else we determine is the best place for it. Again, market this option through various avenues, and the funds collected from the standalone donation function would go into the same fund as those collected through the utility bills. The estimated cost to set up something like this would be maybe $3,000 to $5,000. We've not yet gone out to get quotes for that, but that's what staff has estimated. And the other issue with this is that there is a merchant fee of 2.75% for credit card payments. So we would need to determine how to address that, if it's absorbed by the city or reduced from the donation amount, or passed to the customer. And that is our recommendations would be to do the option 1 free option on the bill, and also a standalone donation. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I do have a question in regards to the fund with the utility department, in the sense is that, how, would there be transparency with the amount of money that comes in and what it is spent on?
Absolutely. I mean, we would need to, I don't know offhand if we would need an ordinance. I would refer to other staff for that. But we would certainly need a policy where we are transparent with documenting the uses, the allowed uses of the fund, and would report the amount. I see it fairly similar to the revenue we collect through the green building fee on construction permits, and we're certainly transparent with that anytime we have a chance to report back to commission on the status.
And then would this also, if people have cash or checks, could you give that to the utility department through the walk-up? They wanted to make a donation that way as well?
Yes, I believe that is fine. I might need to refer to utility staff to just assess what staff time would be involved with collecting that revenue, but I recall it was in our conversations and that would be allowable. It would go into the same fund.
Okay. Oh, good.
We would never turn money away, Mayor. We'll figure out a way to accept it and code it properly. And yes,
that's all I'm asking, is that let's find a way to accept money for the sustainability of our city by having more trees and renewable energy. I want to thank staff for all the consideration. It has been a while since September, and it wasn't easy. And the fact that our vendor is willing to do it free for us for the one-time payments for people who are using credit cards or through direct bank account transfers, I think is the perfect way to start this. Whereas anyone who pays with cash, you could they have the ability to just give an extra $1, $2 at that time, or someone who has a check. I know it'd be a little bit more difficult in the sense that if someone pays more, that I don't feel that amount gets, it has to be a separate payment to the fund if it is by check, so that there's no confusion. Whereas cash, makes it easier to separate.
Understood.
Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, Rebecca, for bringing this forward. I support the recommendations you've made. I do have a couple of questions. Just for my understanding, did I hear you correctly? You said to add that standalone button on the website was $3,000 to $5,000.
That's what I've been told.
Just to put a button?
Yeah. Well, to set up I'm not the finance person. I know Mara's out there, but I don't think I have to ask her to answer this question.
I'm just wondering.
Mara can help you, Rebecca.
Okay, thanks, Mara.
Yeah, she can explain the back end of the system, Vice Mayor. If you unmute, John, unmute Mara, please.
I can answer that. There will be some setup, obviously, with the web design, and then you have to set merchant accounts to collect the money. So there will be some setup costs, our estimate at this point. We will refine that as once we get along further in this process.
All right, sounds good. And so the only thing that I'd concerned with regarding the proposal was that it doesn't make common sense. It defies my common sense that we should charge the residents in any way for their donation. Maybe because it went from 98 to over 100 or whatever merchant fee, whatever it's called, the transaction fee. So the only thing I would not be in favor of is them absorbing that cost. We should not be penalizing them for donating in any way. So if something else could absorb that, I'm not sure what exactly, but I can't support something that's going to hurt the people donating.
Right.
I think we would need to be transparent and let it be a statement made that if they're using a credit card, this service fee applies and it'll just be reduced off their donation amount.
Yeah, I think that'd be.
And just to be clear, this is an opt-in, not an opt-out, right? So they have to actively choose, not
definitely.
that it's defaulted to.
Correct.
So just to minimize any disputes and all of that.
Correct.
All right, wonderful. Thank you.
And I believe we do need a motion if you'd like to make it.
Yes, motion to approve staff recommendation.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Oh, yeah. Did receive comments from Community Greening. Community Greening at an urban forestry nonprofit has planted over 6,000 trees with 4,000 volunteers in South Palm Beach County over the past 5 years. We have partnered with local foundations, corporations, city governments, nonprofits, and schools to make our cities more livable. Trees have enormous benefits to residents. They cool and clean our air. They reduce energy usage, and they reduce flooding. The stark reality is that it is going to take a much larger effort and resident support to maintain our urban tree canopy and all of its benefits. As you know, the city of Boynton Beach is adopting a campaign of 45,000 trees by 2035. We will not be able to do this without grants and city funding alone. It is going to take community support. The voluntary donation option allows the people who are able to provide support for more trees and sustainability initiatives to make Boynton Beach a better place to live for all of us. This is from Mark Cassini. So, seeing no further questions or comments, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And, you know, Rebecca was asking me what is my goal, and my goal is $50,000 for this first year. And so I will be definitely making my donation of $50 to the city as soon as I come back. And I'll give it to the utility department at the front hall in City Hall. So hopefully we can have some flyers and information there as well. All right. Next, we have a letter from JKM Developers for their monthly update. And are we going to need another closed door session in the month of May or June before the trial date, Jim?
Mayor, I think that's a good idea. And since you brought it up, I'll request it tonight. Could we do one in conjunction with either the next city commission meeting or the CRA meeting?
So you're saying the 4th or the 11th or the 11th and 18th?
Let me look at the calendar. That would be I think the 4th would be best.
Okay. And does anyone from the commission have an objection?
None from me.
And is 4:15 an okay start time? I know that these conversations do last a little bit of time.
Yes.
All right. And do I have one other person for consensus?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, item A, Mayor Grant, Commissioner Hay requested a discussion regarding adding names to the monument at Heritage Park. I believe staff has a little information for us.
Yes, Mayor, we dove into our records and tried to find some history on when the monument was installed, and really there wasn't any. We're unsuccessful in finding anything laserfish. So, absent really any guidance there, I think it's just really up to the commission and discussions where we did look at the monument. It's a plaque sitting on a granite stone in Heritage Park. There's room on there to add names. One thing we haven't done, and we just haven't had the time to, is to try to reach out to a few folks. I was thinking of calling Commissioner McCray too, just to see if he has a recollection of when this was built, and he may very well. But it's really up to the commission. If there's names you would like to consider, and as a group, we can certainly add them onto the plaque. I think there's room for maybe 5 or 6 more names, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to take another look at it. So it's really up to the commission.
Would you like to begin? Yes.
I went over there and took a look, and I took some pictures. That particular monument was dedicated in 1993, but I also reached out to some of the old timers this afternoon, and they were able to give me some information as they recall. I reached out to Commissioner McCray. He led me over to Brother Harry Meeks, who was part of the MLK committee. He led me over to Dr. Martha Meeks Light, who gave me the information that I was looking for. Basically, she stated that the MLK committee, when it existed and was very active, was part of this, but it really came from the HOB committee. What they would do is anybody could make a recommendation on a form and state their rationale for recommending that individual in the community to go on that monument. Those were then collected by the HOB committee. They reviewed them, and they tried to select 2 names each year to go on. If they only had 1, they did 1. It wasn't 2 males, 2 females, whomever. And they would select what 2 names would go on the monument. And at the MLK banquet, which we used to have on that Sunday night, it would be announced who those 2 individuals were that were going to have their name engraved on the monument. So this is what I've been able to find out so far. There's one other individual that will be able to give me information, and that's Sarah James Williams. I have not talked with her yet. I'll talk with her on tomorrow, but that will help the situation to, I don't know what you've been able to find out, Mayor, but that's what I've been able to dig up from the individual people. And I agree with what the city manager is saying. There's nothing on file documented that we can pull up, but by word of mouth, I was able to gather this information.
So I appreciate that, and so I understand it's not necessarily a commission based decision, but regardless of that, Commissioner Mac McCray has given years and years of service to this city, from what I'm aware of, serving multiple times as commissioner, and we don't necessarily have something in his honor representing his service to the city, besides a few bronze plaques. And so I think, it's not naming a building, but I think that that's something that he has earned the right under my eyes. However, as you mentioned, this is more of a community kind of declaration. So, you know, it's almost for me to say, hey, I'm gonna nominate him to the Heart of Boynton Beach Association, and I'll speak with Willie Akins and see if that is something that his organization would approve, and then we'll have that decision here at the commission with the recommendation of the Heart of Boynton. What is there? What do you think about my suggestion?
Well, I think your suggestion is a good one, based on the fact that they still are active doing that particular function. They may be defunct on that particular activity, but we can certainly check into it, and I'll go along with your recommendation.
Thank you.
If you want me to, I can reach out to Willie Akins and talk with him about it and follow up on that and keep you posted.
Okay, so this is probably going to come back to the city commission. So we would have to do it under the informational items at the beginning of a meeting. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, thank you. All right, Vice Mayor, we're on to your item, the Pride Crosswalk.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to my colleagues for allowing this item to be back on the agenda. So this proposal is actually part of a much greater initiative throughout the county, initiative that was brought forward by the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council. And what this is the creation of a pride or rainbow crosswalk. And this comes in many forms. It could be the space between the intersection. It could be an actual crosswalk. And so, as some of you may have seen about 4 or 5 days ago, the city of West Palm Beach, and it was unanimously approved, but 4 or 5 days ago, they actually completed their Pride crosswalk. And I've also been informed that the city of Delray Beach has also unanimously voted and agreed to creating their own. And so I would like, if possible, for us to beat Delray to the punch. West Palm Beach has already made it. And there was a speaker earlier who mentioned representation of the trans community. And so my proposal is not that we use the traditional rainbow, but there is actually an updated or modern version of the pride flag where it incorporates more colors. And what they incorporate is a recognition of that community, but also black and brown and lavender are included. And the purpose of that, those additional colors, is to be more inclusive and to acknowledge the racial diversity as well within the LGBT community. And because for so long, it's generally been white men who have dominated that community, and other subgroups have been not given the proper recognition. And so I think this updated Pride crosswalk that includes these additional colors, recognizing the black and brown communities as well as the trans community, would be a perfect symbol to have in our town square. So whether it's in front of our city hall and arts and cultural center, or on First and Ocean, that will put it at the center of the town square. And that is such a great message to send to everybody that says, no matter your background, we welcome you here, and you can see it, and it's real. And so, you know, of course, ultimately what this means is just paint on the ground. And there is a portion of me that's hoping, and this is to be determined, but there's a portion of me that's hoping that this is something that can be community involved with the assistance of professionals, of course. So what I mean by that is perhaps the professionals set the perimeters and the boundaries, and we get people from the community here in Boynton Beach to come in and actually help paint that on the ground, just to bring that significance and emotional connection for our residents. And so today I am seeking, and I feel like I'm in Shark Tank, but today I am seeking support from all of you to give direction to our city management to continue the work to make this a reality. So thank you for your time.
So thank you, Vice Mayor, for bringing this up. Thank you, Commission, so that we can hear it today. I know that June is Pride Month, and that's something that, you know, the city of Boynton Beach, I don't think has had really a Pride event while I was here as mayor. I don't know if it's going to be, you know, allowed for us to have enough time to do that. However, I am in favor of what you're stating. You know, the city has just painted a couple new crosswalks in front of Ocean Avenue. But, you know, this being Diversity Month, it's something that, you know, I'd like to, you know, go and speak with the Arts Commission and put this on their agenda, because this is, I think, some sort of art. It is artwork, as long as recognizing the diversity and equity in our community. And so I'd like to direct staff to have our Arts Commission weigh in on it, and, you know, planning and zoning to determine which place it works out best. From my knowledge, there's a resurfacing on Seacrest, and that's something that, instead of just painting the white crosswalks there, to have possibly the enhanced colors. So I think those would actually stand out a little bit more, to help people slow down on Seacrest Boulevard. So
Another benefit.
yeah, not only do I really appreciate this idea, I think it's something that we really need to focus on other communities and other cultures and have them represented as well in a crosswalk. I know that, you know, we were talking about murals that we'll have a discussion. However, this is something as a city we can create our crosswalks as artwork that follow the certain guidelines as much as we can, so that we are more inclusive of diversities here in the city of Boynton Beach. So I will second that consensus to have staff work with our Arts Commission to figure, and I guess the P&D, to figure out what would be the best design and the best location.
Thank you for that, Mayor. I do just want to add a tad bit of information. Although it was not formally added to the Arts Advisory Board agenda, I did attend several meetings ago when I shared some initial thoughts about the City Mural Arts Program. And part of that vision for me was to include streetscape, right? It wasn't just the literal wall. And so I did drop that idea of Pride Crosswalk, and there was nothing but support. However, that was not a formal decision, but it is something that has been put forward. But thank you for your support, Mayor.
Is there anyone else from the commission that has comments?
And hopefully we'll beat Del Rey.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor, if I might just remark to the roads, if we start looking at Seacrest and all those are county roads, and they have their traffic standards that we would have to vet through with them. That may become a difficulty, but heads up on timing. City roads control, county roads, state roads, we would have to get their permission.
So I would think Ocean Avenue being the main road, we have multiple intersections on the different streets. There is a resurfacing project as along with the Boynton Beach Boulevard in a couple of years. So, you know, I don't want the city to spend a good sum of money for it to be only last 2 or 3 years. So, you know, let's figure out what the capital improvement plan or the transportation improvement plan it is for Ocean Avenue. And that way we will work around that to see what works out best.
Mayor?
Yes.
Let me, I want us to be careful on what we're doing here because of the word called inclusive. We are up against other types of recognition for with monuments and everything else. I just want us to not open ourselves up. I understand what the Vice Mayor is saying, and that's all well and good, but you got Baptists and Catholics and Bangladesh and all other kind of people that are going to be coming after us left and right. And what you do for one, you got to do for the other. I think we really need to think about this, see what we got on the books, where this is going to go. Otherwise, you won't be able to turn anybody down because there won't be any difference in one versus the other. So I just need to. It's exciting, yeah, but we need to be careful with it. I guess that's where I am at this point. I don't want to just jump and not know what the end results might be.
So I agree with you, and I do want, sorry to inform you, Vice Mayor, I don't know if we're going to beat Del Rey because we want to make sure that we do it right the first time. However, you know, regardless, in the month of June, I think with the city manager's approval, we're going to buy some chalk and we're going to paint, and we're going to chalk up the interior of what our current crosswalk is, all the different colors of the rainbow. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but that's something that I think we can do as a temporary measure so that we are being inclusive. And then when we understand what we want to do permanently, we have that at place when when we figure out all the other aspects of the crosswalk.
Mayor, I'm going to have to disagree here. I think the chalk is somewhat insulting. So I do understand what you're getting at. And Commissioner Hay, I understand your concerns. First of all, this is paint. And so should there even be an issue down the road, you know, it's paint. It's not going to last forever. And should there really be a legal situation, which I doubt it, because many cities already have this and there's not been a problem, and it does not cause other people to all of a sudden, everybody wants an intersection. We are not actually, the truth be told, we are not at the forefront of this. It's been done many times in many cities, and we're a little bit behind. And so looking at other cities, if there is no problem in other places, I don't know why we would anticipate there be a problem in our city for creating some paint on the ground. So I know on the point of me rushing to beat Del Rey, that was a little bit of a joke. So I would rather that we do it with quality than beat Del Rey. So I would like to move forward, sticking with actual quality paint to make this a reality versus a temporary until it rains with chalk situation. But to alleviate your concerns, Commissioner Hay, we haven't seen this in other cities, so I don't suspect at all why it would happen here.
Mayor,
Yes, Commissioner Romulus.
if I may, if you're looking for consensus or whatnot, I am here in full support of this initiative, and I think it's exciting, and I definitely want to see it in one of the roads that we have control over. That way, we don't have to deal with county logistics and all of that, because we know how messy that can get. And yes, that we, you know, forego chalk and do it with good paint so that it can be
right. Yeah, that was kind of where I don't think we have anything going on for Pride Month. And so that's something that I, you know, off the top of my head thought of something for doing for Pride Month. But if you feel that it's not acceptable, then thank you for letting me know.
No. I think I was joking. I was making a joke about the chalk. But no, I think we should do it in Pride Month and make it a whole big thing. And you know, I think it would be really nice to actually do that. Since you and I, since we've been up here, we haven't really done anything to really celebrate Pride Month. So to show our solidarity with that community, absolutely. So I would be in favor if Vice Mayor Pinsurga thinks it's fitting to do it in June in honor of Pride Month. If we can get it through, you know, our Arts Commission and PD by then.
Yeah, what great timing that would be. So absolutely.
Mayor, if I may, I'm going to ask that the board, if this is going to be something for the sanity of our marketing and event staff with 4th of July, to plan another event, that we defer this to the Arts Board to plan and organize the event. In this case, if we end up making it a larger community event, we're going to need the help. I mean, report it where we can, but from an organizing and planning standpoint, I'm going to ask that we ask perhaps the art board to spend most of that time to do that.
I mean, that only gives them really one meeting. And so that's kind of where, I was, because we only have less than 40 days to get to June. That's kind of where it was something simple and easy that if we close down Ocean Avenue in front of the Cultural Center and City Hall, it's not going to be like a street chalk festival, but it's something that we can have as a little something for the kids involved. And I don't believe that it's much budget to get chalk for the community. Because chalk comes in all the different colors. And it's not permanent.
Besides on the color scheme and we've looked up some samples already, having had this discussion with the vice mayor. I mean, we can also keep it simple and simply hire a vendor to actually install what would be more professional and permanent, I think, depending on the site that we do, and do some, small event around that. But I think I'm just asking you, planning a larger event of any sort right now, staff, they're completely monopolized on 4th of July from here to the 4th of July.
Lori, completely understandable. That is not my intention to overwhelm staff. I know they've already got a lot on their plate,
Yes.
People that we have. So having a large event is not the priority. Getting this on the ground and making this a reality is the priority.
Okay. We can do that.
So we can work around small event, big event, whatever. That's a distraction.
Thank you.
The icing on the cake. But thank you. All right. So next, we have legal ordinance 21-11. May I have a motion to approve?
Mayor, I need to read that first.
Yes, please.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 23 entitled Taxation, Assessment, and Fees to create a new Article 6 entitled Canal Maintenance Service Special Assessment to provide for the levy and collection of a canal maintenance service special assessment related to canal maintenance services within the City of Boynton Beach, providing for definitions and findings, authorizing the imposition and collection of a canal maintenance service special assessment, establishing a procedure for notice and adoption of the canal maintenance service special assessment role, and collecting and correcting errors and omissions, providing that canal maintenance service special assessments constitute a lien on assessed property upon adoption of the canal maintenance services special assessment role, establishing procedures and methods for the collection of a canal maintenance service special assessment, establishing the priority of the lien over prior recorded liens or mortgages, providing for severability, conflict codification, and an effective date. And just a reminder to the commission and to the public, this does not fix an assessment. That will be a subsequent action by the commission when a resolution comes back, defining what the assessment area is, the methodology for calculating the assessment, and the assessment amount.
Thank you, Jim. Is there any comments on this item?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
So we have a first and a second. No one from the audience, no one online. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Romulus,
Yes.
Mayor Grant,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pensurga,
Yes.
Commissioner Katz.
Yes.
The vote is 5-0.
Next, we have
Ordinance. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mayor.
Jim, would you mind reading?
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Part 2 Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Offenses Miscellaneous, by creating a new Article 14 entitled Polystyrene Foam Waste Reduction Ordinance, prohibiting the use and distribution of polystyrene foam foodware, encapsulated polystyrene foam products, balloons, and confetti on city property, providing for definitions, codification, conflict, severability, and an effective date.
All right, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I got a second by Commissioner Katz. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Romulus,
Aye.
Mayor Grant,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Pensurga,
Yes.
Commissioner Katz,
Yes.
Commissioner Hay.
Aye.
The vote is 5-0.
I want to thank the City Commission for approving this ordinance. And hopefully, you know, we will have a really good 4th of July without confetti and balloons. Next, ordinance 21-013.
An ordinance of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Section 2-56, Purchasing Agent Selection Duties, Competitive Bidding, amending Chapter 2, Section 2-56.1, Exceptions to Competitive Bidding to amend purchasing threshold language, providing for repeal of laws in conflict, severability, codification, and an effective date.
We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there anyone who has further discussion or questions, comments? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Pensurga,
Yes.
Commissioner Katz,
Yes.
Commissioner Hay,
Aye.
Commissioner Romulus.
Aye.
Mayor Grant.
Yes.
The vote's 5-0.
All right, thank you. In the discussion that I had at the TPA, I'd like to give staff authorization to speak with our neighbors to the north and south about a ride-sharing program. The city tried to start one with a private organized vendor, and we outlined certain locations that we were going to have it. However, that vendor did not move through. And so wondering whether if we have a partnership with the cities to the north and to the south, that either we find a private vendor or the cities, municipalities work together to help transportation between us. And so I'm just looking for consensus not to be put on a future agenda item.
Okay by me.
Yes.
That's fine.
All right. Thank you. And if there's nothing else, I'll have John prepare the closing.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Grant. As a reminder, a recorded version of this session will be posted to the City of Boynton Beach's YouTube channel. Links to that channel are available on the City of Boynton Beach's website at boynton-beach.org. This concludes today's meeting. On behalf of Mayor Grant and all of our elected officials, the city manager and city staff, thank you for attending today's City of Boynton Beach Commission meeting. Be safe and have a great evening.
All right, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.